Now, today's National Dementia Carers Day, recognising the challenges faced on a daily basis by the incredible people caring for those living with dementia.
And our next guest knows what a huge toll this can take. 10 years ago, Graham Sutherland's life changed forever when his mum, Linda, was diagnosed with the early onset of Alzheimer's disease at just 59, so young.
Well, Graham has since helped countless others by sharing his experience of caring for his mum on social media.
She was diagnosed just before she was 60 with late-stage Alzheimer's, but it was early onset. My mum doesn't know who we are most of the time.
We're going to the zoo.
In the past 3 years, that she's declined a lot more. Now she's wheelchair-bound, can hardly say any words, and requires assistance eating and drinking it most of the times.
How are you doing? We sing some songs. Have a good time?
Yes.
That was a clear stop here to speak. Right, let's get singing, right?
It is going to get worse. She'll stop being able to eat and swallow at one point, and she'll stop speaking completely, which is very difficult to think about. Life can change very quickly, so make the most of it.
Oh, Graham Sutherland joins us now. Graham, thank you for joining us this morning. They're extraordinary videos to watch. If you haven't watched, I'd urge you, I'm sure Kat will, to find Graham's TikToks to get an amazingly honest, searingly honest insight into what it is to have to care for somebody who has suddenly got such a cruel condition. What made you want to start recording them and sharing them?
It happened by accident. So during lockdown, like most people, I was doing stupid videos on TikTok, but then I just happened to video my mum one of the days, asking if she knew who my dad was, and she remembered his name. And I just uploaded that and had a huge reaction from it and thought there's something here. Because of the age of her, a lot of people were quite shocked that she actually had Alzheimer's, so I thought this could actually help a lot.
There's a bit of a myth, isn't there, that Alzheimer's dementia only affects older people, and
yeah.
she just certainly wasn't old at the time.
Definitely not.
When did your mum first start showing signs?
So she was 59 when she was diagnosed, but my dad passed away a couple of years prior, quite suddenly, with a brain tumour.
Okay.
So she was diagnosed with depression, which we thought was normal.
And how long was that before she was 59? What age was she at the time?
When my dad passed away?
Yeah.
About 57, 56, 57.
Wow, that's so young, yeah.
So those couple of years, she had depression, it wasn't getting any better.
Right.
And we were questioning what's actually going on here. And it's, her personality started changing, she was quieter, she was losing a lot of weight, but they are signs of depression. So it wasn't until I took her to London to the Harry Potter studios. She started spraying deodorant in her shoes and was crying, trying to take a picture on a camera, didn't know how to press a button and didn't know how to put a seatbelt on. That's when we knew something was a bit more sinister here, and we went to get her checked.
So we're looking at a little bit of footage. I mean, you took a bit of footage. There's amazing moments within the Harry Potter at Leavesden where you can experience things like picking up the broomstick. I'd imagine that would have been, if she was confused anyway, that would have made no sense to her.
That's why I couldn't understand why she wasn't able to do that. That video that you've seen, that's when I was questioning why can't she understand such a simple task.
What was it like when you and your sister got the diagnosis, though, and how did your mum cope with that?
It was really hard to hear the words. It's not something you expect. I didn't know anything about it, so we were really broken by it. My sister kind of broke the news to her, and I think my mum knew because she was very upset, but I think she was relieved that somebody else knew because she'd been hiding it that whole time.
I was about to say, my nan had the same thing, and she hid it for so long because she didn't want... It was almost like she didn't want to believe it herself.
Once everyone else knows it's true, so it's that a denial thing, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And then you and your sister basically became full-time carers for her?
Yep, my sister was a nurse, so she worked night shift and I worked during the day. And we swapped over.
And what was that like for you? What was the general day-to-day?
Just making her food, getting her drinks, because she stopped being able to eat properly herself, and medication. My sister would do the personal care before we get the carers in, things like that, and just making sure she's safe at all times because she can get up and move about the house and get a bit confused.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
She's had to go into a care home now, which I know you and your sister say is undoubtedly been brilliant for her and for you as well to recharge. How is she and how are you both doing?
She's doing amazing in there. We are starting to get a bit of a life back because we can switch off a bit now, whereas before it was a 24/7, could not stop thinking about her, what she was doing, even sleeping, wake up. But she's doing amazing for having Alzheimer's. She is going to get worse, but it's been great there. So we did our research thoroughly before we
Yes.
put her into that care home.
What was so interesting to Ben and I when we were looking on the TikTok was some of the aspects of someone having that disease that you kind of don't almost think of. Like there's one TikTok that you posted where you talk about her friends don't come and visit her, and they don't, and it's sometimes because people can't deal with what's right in front of them, and you feel like that's a really important thing to change.
Yeah, I do understand it can be uncomfortable for them.
Yeah.
And that they might not want to see the person she is now, might want to remember her for who she was. But it would mean a lot to her and to us if more people visited. But I guess it's just their way of dealing with it as well.
Yeah. So what would be your advice, though, Graham, because you and your sister are living this, for anybody out there who may be sort of going through something similar or nervous about the scenario that they find themselves in with somebody in the family who has Alzheimer's or early onset?
I would definitely do your research, because Alzheimer's is quite complex and there's lots of different types of dementia you can get. And definitely make memories. That's the best thing to do. What I've been doing, I've been making so many memories with her. Because there is a happy time in it, even though it's very sad, you can make happy times. And power of attorney is something to get straight away, because that can be very difficult further down the line.
Well, look, thank you for joining us today. The TikToks are extraordinary. It's incredibly honest and generous of you to share that journey and offer comfort to lots of people, I'm sure, that are going through a similar thing.
For sure, they'll so much comfort from it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here.
Hello. Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload tons of new content every single day. So hit the subscribe button, like all the videos, and don't miss out. We'll see you in the morning. Now, it was the big story which came out of the NTAs last night. ITV drama, Mr. Bates versus the Post Office, quite rightly swept the night, taking home 3 of the big awards.
As we know, the drama had a huge impact on the struggles faced by hundreds of postal workers. But when former sub-postmaster Jo Hamilton took to the stage last night, she revealed there's lots more work to be done.
I want to say thank you to all my colleagues who are behind me, who, without strength in numbers, we wouldn't have got to where we are. And the public got behind us and changed, literally changed everything. I went to Westminster a couple of weeks back and saw the new minister, and trust me, nothing has changed. And almost all of these people behind me haven't been paid yet, including Sir Alan Bates. So when he comes back to the nation for help, please be there to support him.
Wow, what an incredible... Jo, I have to take my hat off to you. You were so eloquent and everybody in that room was behind you. You did the most amazing job up there.
Well, when you listen back, you think, ooh, did I do that?
You really did do that.
Oh, you did do that.
Yeah.
Live in front of 15,000 people there and millions watching at home, Jo. And I think one of the things, and obviously we were thrilled that Mr. Bates versus the Post Office did so well last night and was recognised for what it managed to do. And the point of the drama that was so exciting at the time, I'm sure from your perspective, was there seemed to be a real push for change. The government had seen what had happened, the government at the time, Rishi Sunak stood up and said, we will look after you, we'll exonerate those that were given prison sentences, and we will pay out this compensation. And it wasn't until you spoke last night so brilliantly and eloquently, it became apparent that that just hasn't been happening.
No, it hasn't happened. The government keep pushing out. We've paid out £230 million. They push out huge numbers and they blind the public, really. But the fact of the matter is the bulk of our group that fought, and we've been together since 2009, we went through the High Court and won in 2 big trials in 2019. That's 5 years ago, and we've still not been paid. You know, I settled at 80% because it took 3 years, must have cost more than they ever paid me to actually get 80% of my claim.
That is one of the extraordinary things. You were saying that they've said that they've settled £230 million, but your estimates on how much they've spent fighting these claims is how much?
Well, there was a Freedom of Information request which ended in March, so it will be much higher than that. But they've spent £260 million paying out £230 million. I mean, really,
extraordinary.
you know, why they can't simplify everything and just get people paid, I don't know.
Well, I think that was one of the frustrations, actually, that came across so brilliantly in your speech, was that it's like nothing has been done. The same thing is just happening. What would you like to see happen?
Well, I mean, the ministers come and go. We've had lots of ministers. But the guys behind the scene in the departments, they've been there throughout all of this. And we've seen the shenanigans that's been going on at the inquiry, you know, and we're dealing with the same people. It's almost like the fox is in charge of the hen house. It's, you know, that's what we're up against.
So one of the last rulings you had was that everyone would have been paid by, am I right in saying July 2024?
August.
August.
In March 2022, they said all of us would be paid by August 2024. So then when it got close to August, they said, we'll extend the deadline because we don't want a handful of people that might, because apparently it's in law that we all had to be paid by then. So they extended the deadline to August 2025 and nobody's been paid. And that gave them another year to mess
So
around.
they extended their own deadline. How generous were they extending deadlines to you and the other fellow sub-postmasters when they were demanding payment of this money that had seemingly gone missing?
Yeah, I mean, we had to put it in by the morning. I mean,
so there was no extension of deadlines
regardless of
there.
the size of it, no extension.
So what is Alan Bates's plan that you mentioned there in the speech?
Well, he will go back to court and, you know, and take them on again, which is also, it shouldn't have to happen.
No.
You know, it will cost the government an absolute fortune, but we won't have to go to litigation funders this time because I'm sure the nation will get behind him and support him through court, or support the group through court, because he'll take everyone else who messed around. You know, because you saw the people there last night, and I think the oldest lady is 91, Betty. You know, I mean, for goodness sake, why can't they just, if a claim is reasonable, pay it? Why do they have to have all the I's dotted? Oh, they want reports, they want medical health reports. I mean, it's just...
You've been through it.
Yeah, they're making it as
just give you the money that you've been waiting for and you deserve. So the new Post Office Minister, Gareth Thomas, you've met Gareth Thomas. Do you feel more hopeful that he's a new minister, it's a new government, that...
No, because he's actually not running the show. The department is, the Department of Business and Trade, the civil servants. They're in charge of the scheme. And they've just awarded their lawyers another £10 million contract to advise them going forward. I mean, they speak about 10 million, like we speak about a tenner. It's like, 10 million. It's like, that's because it's not their money.
No.
It's our money.
Yes.
Jo, what hope do you have for this?
I have every hope in Alan, but it really shouldn't be necessary. You know, why we can't just all sort it out. Get rid of it, clear it off the books, you know, because we won't go away until we'd all shut up and go away if they just sort it.
Yeah.
My right reply is over there on the desk if you need me to go and get it and read it out. Let me go and grab it. Excuse me, 2 seconds. No, you probably could have. You'll know exactly what they've said.
They're going to say, right? And it's going to be all dressed up in language.
So this is what the government have said, the Department for Business, Trade, we recognise the immeasurable suffering postmasters have endured and they have waited too long to receive redress. That's why we're working tirelessly across the government to bring them some relief with full, fair and swift redress.
Swift.
We've already paid out 289 million.
Next year.
This is an interesting one to get your thoughts on. We've already paid out over £289 million to over 2,800 people across 4 redress schemes. We've also made 253 offers and introduced a new compensation scheme to speed up redress for those with overturned convictions. Those 253 offers, just explain the offer that Sir Alan Bates has received.
Well, his first offer came back at less than 15%.
15.15?
Yeah, and he refused it, and it went back, and they upped it to 30%. You know, I mean, for goodness sake.
30% of the compensation.
Decades of your life.
Yes.
And they think they can get away.
4 people lost their lives.
Yeah.
Like, it's not something you get back.
And they'll hide behind the idea that they've made 253 offers, but when the offers are that derisory at 30%, of course they're going to get sent back.
And some of the offers in the historical shortfall scheme, they were unrepresented. They fell into the arms of Post Office, filled out forms, and they got peanuts back. And they can tick the box and say they've settled it.
Wow.
Joe, I'm so sorry that you're still having to battle. You've still got the public support. You heard that last night.
That's one thing for sure.
You heard it. I just want to... Were you able to enjoy the evening at all?
Oh, it was magical, really magical. Including Ollie Mers, who stood behind us all and had a photograph because he thought we were the heroes.
You are the heroes.
Sure.
You absolutely are the heroes. And you deserve to have that moment of recognition. And you will undoubtedly have this huge momentum of support going forward as well. We will be supporting you every step of the way, Joe. You don't deserve to be treated like this. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming in. OK, let's talk to Nick now. And let's see, Nick, how eloquent is Joe?
Well, what Joe and all the others need to know, Kat, is that we picked up on this because I was with you, as you know, last night, and I threw it open to the listeners. So, Joe, be in no doubt. The listeners are absolutely... They share your fury, the power of your speech. What you did brilliantly is you went from cheers to jeers, because everyone was cheering what you and your colleagues had achieved, and the actors as well, and everybody was cheering. And your timing was superb, because they were... And then suddenly you dropped the bombshell. I remind you of the numbers. 555 victims, more than 300 not had an offer. Sir Alan, 30%. And suddenly it dawned on the audience the treatment that you've been receiving. And that's when the jeers and the boos started. So if you take anything away, apart from the magical night, I'm sorry I didn't get to actually meet you. I spoke with one of your colleagues down in Cornwall, who you probably know well, Penny, who couldn't be with you, so she was on my show today, and the calls absolutely flooded in. So as Ben was saying, as Kat was saying, be in no doubt. The public are ready. If it takes Mr. Bates, Sir Alan versus the Post Office Part 2, we are all going to be here for you. Be in no doubt of that at all. So well done to you.
Thank you very much.
Well done, Joe.
Thank you, Joe. You can go and get some sleep now as well, because I know you had a lovely late night.
Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out, and we'll see you in the morning.
Now, though, we're going to start talking about Ozempic, the drug that, of course, you'll have known and heard about. It's soared in popularity, being labelled as Hollywood's weight loss secret.
But as the demand for Ozempic remains sky high, doctors are now warning of the dangers of buying the injection online.
Yeah, it comes amid a worrying rise of patients visiting A&E with serious, life-threatening complications, just like our next guest, Jodie Jones.
Jodie had to be rushed to hospital after purchasing a fake version of the weight loss jab on WhatsApp. She's joining us now to share her shocking story alongside Dr. Negat. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Doctor, let's start with you, first of all. What are the dangers of Ozempic and what's it supposed to do?
So in the UK, the Ozempic is actually semaglutide. That's the medication. And what it does is it works as a GLP-1 agonist. So it tricks the brain into thinking that you're full. It also slows down the gut, as makes you, again, feel full. By doing that, actually, the way that the licensing has been done in the UK is it actually is for type 2 diabetic patients.
Right.
It wasn't as a weight loss, but we realised that actually it works really well for weight loss. So you mentioned earlier on the Hollywood trait that started, because what happened was that individuals realised, aha, I'm onto something amazing. I can use this for weight loss off licence. So we can do a lot of medications off licence. Doesn't particularly make them unsafe. It means that's not the indication that you need it for. What happened with the dangers of that was the fact that actually all type 2 diabetics weren't able to get hold of them. And so we had a huge rise in this demand. And unfortunately, fakesters saw the fact that this is a vulnerability that people have.
Easy
money. And also the way that Ozempic works is that it mimics having a gastric band without having a gastric band. So it's a once a week injection. So happy days, right? It's great.
You just don't feel hungry,
You don't
right?
feel
That's what
hungry.
I've heard
And
from
so
people.
it allows people to use it off licence. But unfortunately, this is where we've come into a real problem.
OK, so there's been a huge demand for a big rise in the profile of it and lots of people sort of cashing in. So, Jodie, where did this all start with you? Because I'm sure a lot of our viewers will sit here and be watching this morning thinking, Jodie looks great, she looks healthy, she looks fine, she certainly doesn't looks like she needs to lose a lot of weight.
Well, it started a few years ago. I went on new medication for my health issues. I have arthritis and I've had spinal surgery, so my body's gone slower and I'm struggling with pain. So I went on to a new drug that is for nerve pain, but unfortunately with that came weight gain as one of the side effects. So over the years I've gained a good few stone of weight, which has impacted my pain and caused more pain. And made me slower. So I really needed to lose weight.
You tried exercise and the healthy eating, but because of the pain that and your arthritis, the exercise is an issue. You can't do that.
Yeah, it's exhausting, and by evening, if I'd overdo it in a day, I would struggle so much. I could be bedridden for a day or a week or 2 weeks, so it's a big impact on my life if I try to do more in the day.
And was it because of that reason that your GP actually said, do you want to try this for weight loss? Because your GP recommended it, right?
Yeah, my GP recommended that. He wanted to refer me to a dietitian, which is what he did. And he mentioned about this injection. We spoke about it, and it seemed like a really great idea. He did warn me that, I might not get it on the NHS. There's quite a tough category to sit into to get that. It was quite exciting to think that there was something out there that
but you couldn't get hold
could help.
Of it.
Yeah.
So he would try to refer you to a dietitian, but that was going to take a very long time to get that appointment with the dietitian, and then you might not even qualify for the Ozempic anyway.
Yeah.
But then you suddenly saw there was an opportunity because a friend of yours had found somebody who was selling what claimed to be Ozempic.
Yeah, I'd heard it off a friend. She was trying it. She was doing really well on it. This lady was selling semaglutide as she advertised it. So I got her number and WhatsApped her. And got the ball rolling really.
And what did you get and how much did you pay?
I bought a month's worth, so 4 syringes for £20 per syringe.
Wow. And did you have to go through any checks at all? Did you have to answer any questions?
No, she didn't ask any health questions, nothing.
Right. So then you administered the first injection.
Yeah.
Did you feel strange straight away?
I felt sickly, felt quite queasy. Good few days I felt quite unwell. I did message her back and just say, is this normal?
Yeah.
Is this sort of one of the side effects? She reassured me that it should subside by the next day, take some anti-sickness, which it did. And then for that week, as you've said, I felt full.
Yes.
I felt like I couldn't really manage my food, which I thought was brilliant. I thought this is really working.
That was the effect you wanted?
Yeah.
So when did things go wrong?
The second injection, a week later, I took it the afternoon, and by that evening I just started vomiting and couldn't stop vomiting. I thought, hopefully it'll subside. Maybe it's because the dose has gone up. I thought, give it 24 hours, I should feel better. But no, didn't feel better at all day throwing up. And that was on the Thursday night. And then by the Friday night, I was so dehydrated, I was passing out.
But you were actually vomiting blood as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it escalated very quickly, actually. And at what point did you turn around and go, I actually need to go to hospital here, this is very scary?
My eldest daughter that was looking after me overnight, the Friday night, she phoned the ambulance early hours of the Saturday morning.
Called the ambulance?
Yeah, because I wasn't with it at all. I kept passing out, so I wasn't really there. I did not feel well.
So when you got to A&E and you got to hospital and you were seen by a doctor, what did you do? Did you tell them what you'd done?
Yeah, I told the paramedics what I'd done. I told the hospital what I'd done.
How did you feel about having to share that with them?
Embarrassed. Yeah, I was very embarrassed. I was quite ashamed of myself for buying something and injecting myself with it that's made me so unwell.
And so, I mean, obviously you're well again now.
Yeah.
How long did you stay in hospital before you were allowed to leave?
Well, when I was admitted, my blood sugar and blood pressure were extremely low. I was severely dehydrated, so I was very unwell. It took me till the next day to start eating a little bit. I managed half a yoghurt.
Yeah.
And then it was a good week after that until I started really feeling more myself. I was very dizzy all week and very unwell.
And did the hospital say anything to you as to what you'd injected yourself with or what was actually wrong with you?
They described it as a fake. They were pretty adamant. The doctor come to me and said, you're not the first and you won't be the last.
So he's had several cases of this?
And have you let the person know that you bought these injections off, that the drug that you had been given was a fake and it had this awful side effects?
Yeah, my mum was very angry at the time I was
Sure.
admitted to hospital, so she'd messaged this lady to ask, where have you bought this from? Can we just know, is it off an actual prescriber? She wouldn't give any information, just apologised that I was unwell and that it hadn't happened before, and that was it. Wasn't really
Has it stopped her selling what she was selling before?
No.
Which is a doctor. I mean, that seems terrifying to me.
Yeah.
But as a doctor, that must be awful. I think we can compare what it was that Jodie had to what... That's the fake one that you received, Jodie, isn't it? And then this is the original Ozempic. So you know, so it comes in pre-loaded pens.
Yeah, which I know now.
Rather than syringes. I mean, Dr. Nighat, it must be so easily done, especially if Jodie's getting anecdotal evidence from friends that's saying it's working.
And this is why we fall into that trap when we're vulnerable. There'll be lots of people sitting at home exactly in that phase where they feel that my weight isn't how it should be. I've got all these other chronic conditions as well, and you become desperate. You can't just walk into the GP surgery and say, can I have this weight loss drugs? And in fact, in Ozempic, we are reserving that for, say, type 2 diabetics, because also we have now got Wegovy, which is the license. So Wegovy is semaglutide as well. This is where the confusion comes, because everybody's like, but it's the same medication. The difference between Ozempic and Wegovy, which is licensed for weight loss, is the dose equivalence. So it's higher concentrations. So it will actually cause weight loss with, say, Wegovy. Ozempic is just a side effect where you get weight loss. It actually reduces your sugars first, makes you feel dehydrated if it's not done appropriately. And this is where in October 2023, there was a YouGov warning given out to doctors to say, please look out for fake Ozempics. And to put your head above the parapet, to talk about it, of course you feel embarrassed, it's incredibly brave, but this is why we need to cover stories like this, because you won't be the first, you won't be the last, and unfortunately, it's something that I come across in my GP practice as well.
But see, if there's a shortage as well, that prompts people to reach out a different way and try something different. So is there any advice you would give? Would you just say, absolutely not, never get any drugs from anybody else that isn't your GP? Or would you do a thing of, right, this is what you need to look out for?
Yeah, I always say, look, we are going to have the private healthcare sector that's available to us. So a couple of top tips. One is that always look out for verified sites. So a WhatsApp group or recommendation from friends is not actually a good place. So look at whether they are MRHA, so Medical Health Regulatory Association have been regulating that. Also, look at what the actual medication is. Now we know what the fake one looks like.
Yes.
Because they're pre-filled insulin syringes. That's totally wrong. They should be pre-filled with all the 4 doses in one syringe. Also look at the prescriber. Who prescribes it? If it's a regulated doctor who does weight management, they will have a GMC number like I do, and that's how I practice. And so you know that I'm a verified individual. But also they'll have the licensing as well in order to do that weight management. And finally, if you are going to have a look at the medication, we should always be starting at the lowest dose possible and then going higher up, because what we need to do is make sure that we're tracking you. So also looking at your weight. So there's strict guidance.
Sure.
If we want Ozempic or Wegovy, your BMI has to be on the NHS. It has to be 35 and above. And if you're Black and Asian community or other ethnic minorities, it's lower than that at 32. You've got to have type 2 diabetes or hypertension or sleep apnea. There's got to be other reasons why we would think that the benefits of taking something like semaglutide is going to outweigh the risks.
This is what the Department of Health and Social Care said regarding the right reply. We strongly advise the public not to buy regulated medicines from unauthorised online retailers or beauty salons, as they can be dangerous. The Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency continuously works to identify those unlawfully trading in medicines and use its powers to take appropriate enforcement action, including, where necessary, prosecuting those who put people's health at risk. You're OK now, you're fine.
Yeah.
Still want to lose weight, though?
Yes.
And so are you waiting for that appointment with the dietitian? Will you eventually do it, or if that's the end of your weight loss jab experience?
I've been put well and truly off that. I know it does work, and if done properly, but it's put me off. I don't think I'll be doing that.
Take those risks.
No.
Very frightening. But thank you so much for coming on and for being so brave and talking about it, because it's definitely it's an epidemic at the moment, isn't it? So,
really is.
And thank you, Dr. Nighat. Thank you for your advice.
Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload tons of new content every single day. So hit the subscribe button, like all the videos, and don't miss out. We'll see you in the morning. Now then, we started today's show by unveiling mental health charity Calm's latest campaign that highlights the tragic number of young people who have taken their own lives in the last decade.
One of those balloons in that display of 6,929 is for Amelia, who would have turned 20 at her next birthday. Tragically, she took her own life just last year.
Well, Amelia's family were there this morning to take a look at the installation for themselves, and her brother Oscar, sister Harriet, dad Mark and mum Becky join us now. Good morning, all of you. Thank you for coming in and being here today. Becky, I wonder what you made of the installation first?
Yeah, I mean, it was quite wow the kind of colour really hits you. And, you know, there's not much colour when you're kind of going through this type of loss. But just the number of young people and, you know, how to prevent that number growing is just really poignant. So.
I think it's a brilliant method of starting that kind of line of communication, opening up. Can you tell us a little bit about Amelia?
Yeah, so Amelia was really happy as a child. She was really good at school. Yeah. All her parents' evenings were an absolute pleasure all the way through. She was bright, she worked hard. And, you know, she was always into lots of activities, so dancing, athletics, gymnastics, hula hooping, biking. She wasn't very good at biking. There was a lot of time in that park spent teaching her. But yeah, I mean, she was constantly cartwheeling. She was, you know, really happy, always had a really good, close group of friends. Yeah, you know, a really happy, very ordinary in many ways life.
And Oscar, what was it like what were sort of the dynamic between the three of you as brothers and sisters? Did you all get on well? Was she fun to spend time with, or would there be the usual sort of sibling fighting and things like that?
There was a bit of both, really. She was always like the role model, because obviously she was the oldest, so she was trying to keep us in line. Yeah, it was it was a bit of a weird dynamic in that me and Harriet would just be causing mischief and she'd be trying to...
Yeah, we'd be the ones fighting and then she'd be the one that we went to for advice and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So she was a bit of a sage, but also a little bit bossy with you as well.
Yeah, she was really bossy. She really liked being in control.
Yeah. And Becky, when was it that you saw any kind of changes, or when did you begin to worry? Was there one significant point, or was it gradually over a period of time?
Yeah, I think, you know, hindsight's wonderful, isn't it? And you look back and think there were probably more triggers than we recognised. But probably from the age of 16, and I do think COVID masked some of her kind of symptoms.
For sure.
It was very controlled at home. It was very, you know, very safe. But I think really it's just after her 18th birthday, that January, was the first sign of kind of depression. But she just seemed to kind of snap out of it. And, you know, when you think, well, it's just, you know, the time of year, or one to watch, or stress of A-levels, or...
And when you say depression, what were the elements of it?
So just struggling to get up.
Okay.
She'd worked really hard for her mocks and then seemed to kind of lose a bit of motivation and seemed to struggle to be getting her work done. Just kind of minor, nothing that you would put outside.
Just little things, but a collection of them.
Definitely.
Mark, I'm sure you've all talked about this endlessly and tried to understand how and why it happened. Was there a moment that you didn't know about that had happened, or was it was it just as simple as it was the overwhelming feeling of being at that stage in her life that sort of got on top of her?
I think the thing that really crystallised it for us was when she went to university. That seemed to sort of bring the whole thing to her head. So when she first went to university in 2022, she fell over very quickly within 3 weeks and had to come home. And that's when we realised that there was probably quite a serious problem. We had seen some signs of depression before that, but this is when we...
How was she feeling? I mean, I mentioned this to you earlier, and I said we dropped our eldest off at university yesterday, and there's undoubtedly a lot of nerves and anticipation, but also excitement as well. How was she feeling about going to uni?
I think in the run-up to it, I mean, I think because all her friends are going as well, so, you know...
There was a buzz.
There was a buzz about it. She was looking forward to it, and it was only really once, because we took her down to Kent University with all her stuff, and we were settling her in, and she was just crying. She couldn't stop crying. And we couldn't really understand what the problem was. And she couldn't really tell us what the problem was either. Right. So we were staying locally with friends, and we said, look, we'll come back tomorrow if you're still feeling like this, but just see how you get on tonight. You know, go and talk to your flatmates and what have you. And so we went home the next day, and everything seemed to be okay. But then within a couple of weeks, she'd pretty much crashed and said, look, I've got to come home. So we said, just come home. If you know, we don't want you. We don't want you being there unhappy. Just come home.
Which is exactly what she will have wanted to hear, and what all parents would turn around and say. And then she seemed to get better a little bit, Becky, right?
Yeah. So she was getting some treatment for anxiety and depression. She was seeing a psychologist. She'd been seen to the doctors. And it took a few months, and there were some bumps in it, but she really seemed to be turning a corner, and she'd got her bounce back in a step, and she'd got some work in a restaurant. And yeah, she was talking about going again for university, switching courses, and it was all positive. And I think there was, a time when we thought, you know what? I probably should say during this time she kind of got an ADHD diagnosis.
Okay.
And that seemed to make so much sense and seemed to join so many dots.
Right.
And initially it was positive, but I think Amelia just had some shame about it, and she struggled with the control mechanisms that she knew she needed to put into life to deal with the ADHD. Tried medication, but wasn't really
didn't do anything for her.
Didn't seem to be working. She didn't seem to really want that route.
Right.
So I think, just overwhelmed.
She did go back to university, didn't she?
Did go back, and she was coming home at the weekends. We were trying to do things a bit differently, given her the kind of ability. It was only 2 hours away, so she could, And then she just phoned up one afternoon and said, no, I need to come home.
And I guess in a way, because one of the things that this campaign is about is getting people to talk, and you would have all been talking a lot at this time, and her being brave enough to say, look, I need to come back, that must have been a bit of a relief in a way, because you knew that she was going to be here and you could all look after her and give her everything that she needed.
Yeah, I mean, you think your child is going to be safe at home.
Yes.
So I think, when she was home, she was very upset when she got home. But the next day, she seemed to be kind of much calmer, much happier. And I think, you kind of think, she's at home, we can get through this. There's a million different routes of getting to where you want to in life. Yeah. We can take time and, we, honestly thought that she was kind of at home and that we could see a way forward.
But that positivity was masking something else, wasn't it? Which you now understand. Just to explain a little bit about that.
Yeah, so she came home. She had a good day the next day, spent a lot of time with us all. And then the next day, I took her for a coffee, which I quite often did to get her up. Gave her a few jobs to do that day. We'd also arranged for some further psychiatrist support. So it was kind of like, let's start again. Let's see if anything's been missed. Let's, so we had a coffee. She was very quiet, but kind of perked up by the end of it. Yeah. And then I went for a meeting in London, and that was the last time I saw her.
Can't begin to imagine, Mark, how you deal with that, how you pick up the pieces of losing one of your children.
I think when it happens, you think, you basically don't know how you're going to carry on. It just felt like it just blown the family apart. And I think everyone goes through that sort of trauma phase for a few weeks, where you're just functioning day to day, really. But obviously, we have to be here to support these guys. Oscar was doing his A-levels. So you just take it one day at a time. We've had tremendous support from, our family, our friends, the wider community in the town we live in, as well as some sort of external professional support. And our employees have been very understanding and accommodating. It just takes, it's a cliche, but it takes time. You do start to feel better. Obviously, we think about her all the time. Yeah. She's never out of my mind. Yeah. But I don't know, somehow it does get better, but it's still tough.
Yeah, I think we were talking last week actually about grief and how the grief never goes away, and it will always be there, and it's from loving somebody.
You want it to be there to a certain degree because that's your, that's your memory. Yeah. So.
Yes.
But
what advice would you give to any other parents that might be seeing some signs? Or, when I asked you about the question and you said in hindsight these were little things, what would you say?
I say listen to your gut instinct, because it's normally right. You know your child better than anyone. But there is also, we weren't aware of all these organisations, and this was not going to be something that we were going to deal with in our life. It wasn't in the plan. There was no sign that Amelia was going to kind of have struggles. So just talk, just look for the help. You're not necessarily going to find it in the NHS. It's very difficult to navigate mental health. But, speak to, there's so many organisations, of which obviously Calm.
Calm is huge. Harriet, I wonder how you all like to remember your sister now as a family.
Yeah, I mean, we made a big memory box that we've put in her room, and we buy flowers every month, and we put them in her room and take down the old ones. And we talk about her as much as we can. We don't want to forget her memory and what she was like. Yeah.
She's still very present, Oscar.
Yeah, we do a lot of family holidays to kind of try and get away from it all. And I find those really nice because we can talk about it openly. It's just us. I really enjoy those to try and remember her.
Amazing.
And get away from it all, really.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us this morning, and thank you for talking and sharing your story too. It's one of the crucial things I think I've learnt from this morning show.
Unquestionably.
Just keep talking.
Thank you all for
Thank you. If you need any help and support for yourself or for a loved one, head along to our website to find helplines and organisations that Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out, and we'll see you in the morning.
Wow. Ross Kemp, Mafia in Britain starts this Tuesday, 10th of September. 9 p.m. on Sky History, and a man himself joins us now. I mean, me and Al just watched a little snippet the other night of Ep.16, I think it is. We're obviously familiar with the Mafia in terms of Italy and
TV.
Godfather.
You've got your Sopranos, you've got your Godfather.
Right, yeah. We've read all the books. But the Mafia in the UK doesn't seem like a tangible thing. So what was the starting point of this?
Well, the starting point is the death of Roberto Calvi, who was known as God's banker. He was over 60 years old. I remember that. He climbed over Blackfriars Bridge. He got over the scaffolding. He's over 60 years old and slightly, I would say, heavy for his age. Yeah. But he had 5 bricks in his underpants, 2 gold watches and about £40,000 in cash. And the police promptly said, that's a suicide. No, it's not a suicide, because it'd be very difficult to be a suicide. And it was a symbolic killing. And it's never been proven, but we think it was a symbolic killing. That starts the journey, but I end up at a caravan site in Preston looking at an Italian hitman who was travelling from Preston to Naples to make his hits.
So living in Preston?
Living in Preston, driving, stealing a car, driving it, they were looking at Porsches at the time, driving it down to Naples, offloading the car, killing someone at the weekend, and then driving back and spending a week before he drove back again the next week. Jenny Panzuto.
So they're living here and hiding in plain sight? Or?
That's the way it works. And, you know, I've got to say, we travel all over the world. So we start off in London, but then we go to America, where I meet, you know, George the Cowboy, Monterano, Crazy Sal, Polizzi. These are the guys that were genuinely around during the Goodfellas days. These
are quite intoxicating people. Personalities are really interesting.
Like
charming.
Central casting, charming, but also with that element of complete and utter danger, ruthlessness. George did 33 years inside, the first 3 years in solitary. He never gave up. But a lot of the people we speak to are pentitos, so they've given up information. There's one of them, Dominic Sigali, who makes me look a bit like a munchkin. He's absolutely charming on camera, but I've got a screen grab of him when he wasn't looking so charming, and he is terrifying.
So when you're in those situations and you're confronting people like that, how do you know that they trust you, first of all? How do you know they trust you? How do you know that your safety is going to be okay as well, and the crew as well?
In the series, we go from being, say, in the UK to being in America, going down to Miami, looking at the connection between the mob and the cocaine trade. And I ended up, it suddenly stopped becoming a history program, became real when I'm at 4,000 feet. It's 2,300 at night. It's now 40 degrees nearly, still at night time. I've got a helmet on, body armour, snake garters, and we're traipsing around the Cauca Mountains, elevating to 4,500 feet. And I'm going, we'll be out by 0300. We're still stumbling around at 8 o'clock in the morning in daylight, and it's FARC territory, and they not often kidnap the soldiers. So I lost the nail on my big left toe. No longer a history show at this point.
You're in pain.
Because the thing is, when you sit down with someone
that
used to be in the mafia, you know you're going to be safe, right? There's no interest in bumping you off. You know what I mean? But when you're up in the wilds somewhere,
exactly.
That's a whole different scenario.
No, absolutely.
Right?
And I think you always have to be on your guard. And then the secret, as you all both know, is you look into people's eyes and you maintain that, and they can look into you because their radar for someone who is a threat to them is way better than most people's.
Unbelievable. So why the UK? Was it a great place for the mafia to hide out?
I just think it's about hiding in plain sight. I think a lot of the people that I met, nearly all the people that I met, never had a choice, whether it was in Italy, in America. They were born into it, and there was no way out for them. Wow. And so the only way out for many of them is to, become a pentito. But some of them have just done their time in prison talk. We speak to Marisa, who lives in Preston as well. She was the head of one of the biggest clans in Milan. She had to take over from her father. She's half Italian, half British. And she used to wear Bridget Jones knickers and stuff thousands and thousands of lira and travel them all around Europe to different payoff points for drugs and stuff.
I guess the lovely thing about the shows you do is you never know where it's going to take you in terms of the narrative of it, right? So there's a great starting point, Mafia in Britain. That's interesting. That's the USP. But then you must be the rabbit holes you go down.
I'm on a caravan park in Preston. I'm now going up to Aberdeen. There was a cell in Woking. And I think that's, again, why they're so clever. They didn't choose London. They didn't choose Glasgow, Manchester, Liverpool. They chose parochial sort of towns where there was something that they wanted or something that they could do where they wouldn't be seen. And I think the other secret to their success has always been, and I have to say slightly admire it from an observing point of view, is that they're always one step ahead of the authorities. And
they have people in authority working with them as well?
We do. There's one guy, he's called Keith, Keef. He was a custom and excise officer that went undercover for over 8 years. Laundering money, not only for the mob, but also for the cartels. And they would just come to his flat in the middle of the night. He was given a Rolls Royce that had been taken from another villain. So he lived the life to the point, and I meet another FBI agent, McGowan, 25 years cold calling on mafia bars. So he said to me, this is the first time, Ross, I've ever sat in a bar with my back to the door. And while he was undercover one day, the packs they used to, remember, he's wired. If they found that wire, they would have killed him. And the pack went wrong and it started burning his back. And the guy says, they're cooking steaks today. He had to go to the toilet and peel it off his back.
So obviously there's a book that's come from this because there's so much more than you can put on TV.
There's 5 programmes, but I would say that they don't do justice to the subjects or to the access that we gained.
Brilliant.
Unbelievable. We can't let you go until we ask about these EastEnders rumours. What is going on? Are you going back? It's the 40th anniversary.
Yes.
Tell me everything.
Tell you everything.
Is Grant going back?
I can tell you nothing.
But never say never. Never say never.
He's not gonna,
I'm not a pentito.
She's wearing a wire as well. I've just checked.
Exactly. She's
burning. Burning.
I am very proud that the show is celebrating 40 years. I wouldn't have had the career, good or bad, without it. I still love it. I still support it. And I would do if I'd come from Coronation Street, or if I was in Emmerdale Farm briefly for a bit. But I'm very proud it's celebrating 40 years. I would support it in every way that I can. I can say no more than that.
If I was the producer, though...
Work upstairs! Smashing it out of the park.
If I was the producer, though, I would...
Well, the thing is, it was such a lovely, iconic time. I mean, the three of you were so brilliant together, and the lovely thing about sort of bringing this right up to the present day is, and I went to go see Taylor Swift, and there was this great moment where every night her dancer, who's this brilliant guy, me and my wife couldn't take our eyes off him, called Cam Saunders, who does one line, and the one line that he did, this is We're Never Getting Back Together, I think, and he did the Barbara Windsor, you get out of my pub, right?
Get out of my pub.
It's just
and she lives on.
Here we go, got it here.
Together. Get out of my pub.
And I think that's testament not only to Taylor Swift's sense of humour and the global success that she is, but also to Barbara's legacy.
Absolutely,
yeah. She's amazing.
Why not?
She gave me she was my first ever live TV on G4, that day. She was so me and Sheppy, and she was so marvellous.
Ross, we're really excited. Thank you so much for joining us. It's called Ross Kemp. Mafia in Britain starts Tuesday, 10th of September at 9 p.m. on Sky History. Don't miss it.
Very well.
That was good, wasn't it?
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every single day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you in the morning.
It was 2013 when Victoria Milligan faced unimaginable tragedy after her husband Nico and her 8-year-old daughter Emily were tragically killed whilst on family holiday. Victoria was also left with life-changing injuries.
But 11 years on, Victoria continues to use her grief to help others affected by loss after training as a counsellor.
I'm pleased to say that Victoria joins us now this morning. Good to see you, Victoria. Thank you for coming
Hello.
in. I mean, 11 years when we say it out loud sounds like a very long time, but I wonder how that feels when you think about it.
Yeah, it's so odd. It's like, in some ways, it does feel like a very long time, but then sometimes it feels like it was yesterday that it happened. And, you know, and I still can't quite believe that it happened. It was so devastating and unimaginable to have that level of loss in kind of one day, to lose a husband, a daughter, my leg. Kit was very injured as well, so we had a year of trying to save his leg as well. So it was, massive. And I think 11 years on, I kind of think, you know, I'm really proud of where we've got to. I'm really proud of where my kids are. I'm really proud that I've managed to kind of bring them up as a single parent, as a sole parent, but also still left with that sadness that Nico and Emily aren't here with us and aren't going to participate in our future and all the amazing things that happen in our future. So it's always kind of a double-edged sword of thinking, proud of where we are, but still that huge level of sadness.
Yeah. How has the grief changed as time has passed? Because I don't think it goes away, it just changes essentially.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think at the beginning, obviously, it's completely overwhelming. It's sort of all you can think about. And I think after something like that was very sudden, completely out of the blue, very public, it was on the kind of front page of every newspaper, it felt... I mean, I was just in shock, I would say, for a very, very long time, actually. That I just couldn't actually quite imagine that it had happened.
Yeah.
And I was almost too scared to grieve.
Yeah.
I just didn't really know what that word meant. Like, what is grieving? You know, everyone's like, oh, you have to grieve. Well, yes, but at the moment, I'm just trying to learn to walk again, trying to bring up my 3 children, trying to get dinner on the table, you know, everything of just the normality of life. So grief for me was totally terrifying, and the pain of grieving for 2 very different losses, which is a husband and a daughter. I mean, I couldn't even comprehend how to do that. It's not just one grief. It's
and you
very
lean
separate.
on one for the other.
Totally.
But
and I was thinking,
not
what if he was here, you know, how would we be together grieving for Emily? And maybe if only she was here, then I hadn't lost any children and I'd just lost my husband, but obviously both of them are gone. So I'd say over the years, I think I use the analogy quite a lot of it being like a tennis ball in a jam jar, that it's, at the moment, it feels like your entire world, your entire brain, your entire heart, everything, it's all you can think about. And then over time, your life can't help but expand around that grief, because life does go on, like unbelievably, life carries on and the clock doesn't stop. So you do meet more people, you do more things, you change careers, you move house, and you know, your life kind of expands. So after a while, that tennis ball moves into a bell jar. So it's the same size, but it's not taking up as much room in your life and in your head and in your heart as such.
It's extraordinary hearing you talk so eloquently as well from what you've been going through. I wonder how you deal, is there an element of guilt as well about life having to move on? There's the article that you did on the weekend that was so extraordinary, and you talked about the fact that you couldn't understand that your life had stopped but time was still ticking on. And there's an element, I guess, at times when suddenly you get carried away with life and then you suddenly remember what's happened, and then is there a sort of surge of guilt because you think, I don't want Nico and your daughter to feel like you'd forgotten them and they weren't still important.
Yeah, no, there is definitely that. And I think there's that with the children as well, that, you know, we quite often say we still feel like a family of 6, but physically we're a family of 4, but obviously they're always going to be a massive part of our lives. And there is that element of, I think I said in the article, you know, they have no more time and we do have time. And in a way, we do slightly owe it to them to carry on and live our lives to the full and kind of do all of that, not in a kind of cheesy way, but actually do make the most of the time that we have. And I think it's hard, you know, you said, Kat, about how grief changes. There is that thing about how do you keep their memory alive as time goes on? And, you know, kids don't like being sad, so it's not like I kind of go, right, let's sit and talk about Daddy and Emily. But obviously their birthdays, Christmas, we kind of get together. We're very good at communicating, the 4 of us, about what should we do on Emily's birthday, what should we do on Nico's birthday, what should we do for Christmas, in a way, what would they want to do? And I think I dragged them all to an art gallery on about the second birthday of Emily's after she died, and we went to Tate Modern, and we'd gone to St Paul's Cathedral. It's like the biggest church in London, you know, for the biggest love that we have for Emily. And then we walked over and went to the Tate Modern, and Olivia was kind of walking around going, she would not want to be here. I'll tell you that. You know?
But you see, that is some great practical advice for people. Like, you know, do celebrate people's lives, do things that either they would love or they would hate. Exactly. What would be your other advice that you give to somebody maybe going through a similar situation?
I guess it's really kind of take that pressure off yourself about what you should be feeling. You know, you can read so many books and advice about the 5 stages of grief, and you might be, you know, feeling a lot better after 12 months or 18 months. It's kind of do it in your way and at your time, and be so kind to yourself, and don't berate yourself for not achieving as much as you could do before the loss, because it is exhausting and it is time-consuming, and I feel your brain is just not functioning in a way that it was at kind of optimum before a loss. And, you know, it is just go with whatever you're feeling at that moment, and don't be scared to reach out to people and kind of say, do you know what, I'm really struggling at the moment. And, you know, I kind of quite often say, we're not walking around with a broken arm, we're not walking around having... Visible. You know, it's invisible. And people don't know that I might have woken up with a horrific nightmare that I had about Emily the night before, even though it's 11 years on. You know, it doesn't go away. And I've now learned there's a handful of people that I can phone and go, I'm actually really struggling today. Can we go for a walk? Can we go for coffee? Can we...
Well, look, I know that you're retraining as a counsellor as well to help people through this, and your own learned experience. We thought it'd be wonderful if we could get some of your thoughts on some of our viewers and things that they've contacted us with. So Victoria's going to hear some of the viewers that have contacted us. So Gail, a little bit on the lines of what Kat just asked you, actually. Gail's struggling to move on. She's lost her mum. She says, I lost my beautiful mum 18 months ago, really struggling to move on. I still cry every day. I can't seem to function some days. I miss her so much. I'm just so sad about losing her. How do I learn to live with my grief?
Oh, Gail, it's... You know, I'm so sorry for your loss and for losing your mum. And 18 months, you know, actually it's really not that long, and she was your mum. You know, think about the kind of massive loss that you have had with her. And I think that phrase of how do I learn to live with your grief, that's exactly it. It is just living with your grief, and it takes time, and it takes kindness, and it takes support, and it takes love, and it's remembering her in any way that you can, and not putting any pressure on yourself to try and kind of get over it or be better or be in a rush to kind of feel better after it. She was your mum, you know, and I always say kind of grief is the honour of the love that you had for that person, and I'm presuming, you know, you loved her incredibly and she was a massive part of your life. So I think it's just stay with those days, acknowledge them, the days that you don't want to get out of bed, that you feel dreadful, it's okay, and kind of sit and maybe think about her and what you used to do together, maybe journal a little bit, remember all the happy times and the sad times, that she was a massive part of your life, and maybe take the pressure off. And I think healing happens over time, and healing happens not by ignoring the grief or not feeling it, but by actually feeling it. And it sounds like that's really what you're doing. So I would say it sounds like you're kind of doing all the right things and in your way and in your time frame.
Yeah, acknowledge your mum.
Yeah, she was your mum.
Yeah,
you know, it is sad.
Yeah. I've got one here from Lorraine. She says, my daughter gave birth to a baby in March 2022 at 23 weeks. Unfortunately, it was stillborn. Neither my daughter or myself were given a chance to hold the baby. We were given no support after and just sent home. My daughter now has PTSD as a result. My daughter hasn't been the same since, and I feel like I've lost my own daughter as a result. She doesn't want to have another baby. I feel so bad for feeling so broken, as it wasn't me who endured the pain. Do we ever heal from life-changing events like this? This is tricky because there aren't great memories to remember.
And so many, I mean, that massive loss of not even knowing the child and the loss of potential of what that baby could have been and what she could have grown up to be, and also just the really harsh and difficult way it was dealt with, of no closure. You know, you're expecting to have this beautiful child and then to lose it, you know, through the pregnancy, and not be able to say goodbye, not be able to acknowledge the grief, not be able to kind of live with that pain for a while, and just suddenly have it kind of taken away from you, and kind of there you go, move on. So I think a lot of grief can be that acceptance and validation of this is where I am at the moment, and this is the loss that I've experienced, and someone else kind of being able to listen to you about this is the loss that you've had, and it is an absolute valid loss that you're feeling. And I think for the mother as well, the sadness of feeling guilty that it wasn't her loss, but that is exactly what you were feeling. So I think I would say try and just not feel guilty about you feeling so sad. It's your daughter that you're seeing going through something desperately sad as well. And also for her to have that awful PTSD after such a dreadful experience. You know, it was last year, 18...
22, yeah.
I mean, again, it's still, I hope, not that long ago. And with time and communication and talking and maybe the right support and help and facing into the loss and the grief and the reality of, you know, the horrific experience that you've been through, hopefully will make you both heal together and be able to go forward from that.
Absolutely.
I mean, interestingly, that question she asks at the end, do we ever heal from life-changing events like this? Hopefully, Lorraine, when you hear Victoria speak about her experience, and that was 11 years ago, and time has gone on, and you see where you've got to, that will give her some hope that they can eventually feel like they have got beyond it.
The bell jar happened.
Yes,
bell jar.
It was a really good one.
Yeah, I think it's a healing. You know, I don't know if it's ever healed, but I think it's definitely a very much an ongoing process that can be triggered out of the blue by certain things that you're not expecting, or by certain big days that happen that you weren't quite expecting to be triggered. But yeah, it's hopefully my story can give hope that actually horrific things happen in life, and there is a way, human survival or whatever it is, or support, and work out what you need to be able to heal and have a future without those that you loved in it.
Victoria, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for trying to help some of our viewers as well, because unquestionably that advice will land with them and hopefully help them along their journey too. Thank you. Oh, hello. Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload tons of new content every single day. So hit the subscribe button, like all the videos, and don't miss out. We'll see you in the morning.
We're joined by the man who's brought some of the UK's most notorious killers to justice.
Yeah, former detective Colin Sutton was crucial to the capture of serial killer Levi Belfield and integral to putting Night Stalker Delroy Grant behind bars.
He was portrayed by Martin Clunes in the hugely popular drama Manhunt, and he is now sharing his stories firsthand in a brand new UK tour. And Colin joins us now. This is like mid-tour, isn't it? Where are you off to tonight?
I'm off to Blackburn tonight to do something. It's not, the actual tour doesn't start until Saturday.
Right. Oh, okay.
But it's a hangover from something else I was doing that I've got to go to Blackburn tonight.
Busy man, that's why you're so smart today.
Well, in case I get stuck on the M6. Yeah.
You never know, he's always thinking
Man
ahead.
in demand. Colin's lovely to see you. There is a fascination with the world of crime, particularly true crime now, and I can imagine there's a reason, because your tour goes on for a very long time. You're going all over the country, aren't you? It must be brilliant for you to be able to share some of the insight and stories from your experience and your life as a professional with all these passionate true crimers that come along to hear what you've got to say.
Yeah, that's really what motivated it, I suppose, Ben. It was, you know, I've written books and I do a documentary series, but the opportunity to be one-to-one almost, you feel like you are in a theatre, and you can go into more detail, and there's kind of it's a two-way thing. So, it's huge fun, and it's also, I think, important. You know, these people are good enough to read what I've written and watch what I do on the TV, so why not go out and meet them?
Yeah, and it's not super serious. It's not super dark. Like it's supposed to be entertaining too, right?
Yeah, I try to make it entertaining. I'm not a very serious person.
No.
Strangely enough.
In fact, you told Martin Clunes that, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did say the first. I thought the only criticism I had of the first series was that he was just too serious, but he nailed it for the second one. But I mean, it's not a criminology lecture by any means. It's, you know, we start off talking about, we'll just say, how do we do it? Because people used to ask me when I retired, how do you do a murder investigation? So I don't know, I just used to do it. And actually that got me thinking and worked out the sort of the formula that was going on in here, how to express that to other people. So we start off with that so they have an idea, and then talk a bit about the different sorts of murder investigations that there are, because they're not all the same by any means. And then the second half, look again at the Levi Belfield and Delroy Grant cases, but in detail about aspects of them that really haven't been rehearsed that much in the public eye, if you like. So I hope people, even if they're the most ardent true crime fan, will come away thinking they've learnt something.
So you'll be sharing details of the investigation that perhaps hadn't been made public previously and now can be, to give them a real insight. Let's talk about that, because the Levi Bellfield case was a career-defining case for you. Take us back to when you first got put on that case, Colin. What were your thoughts?
Why me? I think
Really?
Well, kind of technically why me? It wasn't my turn, if you like. There's like a rota for when you take on a new case. And I was moving house. It was a Friday, and the following Friday I was moving house. So you can imagine what I was like and what the house was like. And when you know, not really the circumstances in which you want to be taking on the biggest case of your career. But when I first went out and I realised what it was like, poor Amelie Delagrange, it's 20 years ago now. Amelie had been just, you know, tragically and just savagely beaten down to death on Twickenham Green. I got home that night. I was at work for many, many hours, and I got home in the early hours of the morning and sat in the garden with a can of beer, thinking to myself, well, am I up to this?
Yeah.
Because you do ask that question, you know.
You doubt yourself, I suppose.
Sometimes. Yeah, and I kind of thought in the end that, well, someone's got to do it. It's fallen to me. And I think as I've got older, I've realised that the best moments in your life are those when you can step outside yourself and say, is that me? Am I doing that? Because it means you're pushing the boundaries and you're, you know, exploring what you're capable of. And that was the case for me with that case. I won't say it defined me as a person, but it certainly defined me as a policeman.
And what were those moments within that case as well, Colin, that suddenly started bringing it all towards Levi Bellfield and you piecing those bits together?
Well, the first thing that happened really was that I had this wonderfully talented team that were really, really good. And you know, if I was good at anything, it was getting the best out of them. Yeah. And that was crucial to it. They spotted this little van on the CCTV and said it's right there at the time she's being murdered. And so, you know, we need to find out who that is. And then fortunately, one of Bellfield's ex-partners had come forward and said, I think you need to look at him. It could be him. But she was one in 129 women that had come forward to say this is it could have been my husband, ex-husband, partner, ex-partner. And it's only really when you get more than one person saying the same name or you've got other corroborating evidence. But then when we found out that he had this little white van that matched the one that had been seen in the CCTV, then we start to look at him. And you kind of realise, yeah, this is a really good suspect. This is worth putting all the resources into. But it's a risk, you know. And there were times when I thought, if we're wrong and this all goes horrible, then I don't know what I'll end up doing, because we'll have wasted a lot of time and a lot of effort. But you have to take those risks sometimes, I guess, if you're going to succeed.
And it's not just the risks either. I mean, some of these cases and some of these murders are really dark. They're really grisly. They're a horrific thing, and you've done over 30 of them. How do you balance that emotionally as well, and just being a human being?
I think I learned very early on in my police career that there was a work life and there was a home life, and I was always able to keep that separation.
It's hard to do.
Not everybody does that.
No, it's hard.
And fortunately, these days, the support mechanisms that are in place for today's police officers, if they feel at all, you know, that mentally ill or unwell, are much better than we had back in the 80s when I started.
Yeah.
But it's about being professional. You know, people say, how can you be in the same room as somebody like Bellfield or Grant and knowing what they've done? And I think the answer to that was you're just acting professionally. You just know that there's a job to be done there. And the only time in 30 years I felt really, really close to losing it was in the Night Stalker case, when I've got a 94-year-old woman grabbing me by the hand and pulling me down to her and whispering in my ear, he interfered with me. Oh. And at that moment, had he been standing next to me, I don't think I'd have been able to control what I did, you know, because that was... But that's the only one. That's the only time, really, that I felt that I was close to not being professional.
Colin, we're gripped.
I mean, I could sit here and listen to you all day.
Absolutely gripped, and we've only had a few minutes with you, so the tour will be absolutely wonderful. The Makings of a Murderer 2, The Real Manhunter. The tour kicks off on Suffolk on Saturday, and you're going all over
7th.
the country, aren't you?
Yeah, and the Isle of Man and Ireland and Scotland. everywhere.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out, and we'll see you in the morning.
Morning. Now, last year, 13-year-old Hannah Jacobs tragically died after having a severe allergic reaction to just one sip of a Costa hot chocolate, which, unbeknown to her, contained cow's milk. Incredibly sadly, Hannah's death was entirely preventable. And despite an inquiry finding that Costa were at fault, Hannah's mum, Abby Dooley, says that she has yet to receive an apology.
Abby joins us now alongside her lawyer, Michelle, in the hopes of ensuring that no other parent will ever have to lose their child under similar circumstances. Good morning to you both.
Morning.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much. Can you tell us, first of all, tell us a little bit about Hannah?
Hannah was a fun child.
Yeah.
She was full of life. She loved life. She liked to go out. She liked to do a little bit of TikTok. She liked to be on her phone a lot as well. She also listened to quite a lot of music. Yeah. And she loved hanging around with her friends and family a lot. So she was very family-oriented and she loved our friends a lot.
So can you tell us a little bit about the allergies that she had?
When she was little, I mean, she was on breast milk for about 2 years. Then we tried to wean her off breast. So we started with Cellulac, but she was throwing up. We didn't think anything of it because I don't have no allergy in my family.
Right.
And the father does not have any allergy in his family. So we didn't think anything of it. I think it was when she was about 2.5 years old, we gave her mackerel fish. That she had a swollen lip between the second. That's when I went, something is off here. That's when I went to go get an allergy testing done for her.
Yeah.
And that's when we found out she had quite a lot of allergies.
So what was she allergic to?
She was allergic to fish,
yeah,
dairy milk, some nuts, not all nuts, and dust as well.
She was allergic to dust?
Yes, you'll be surprised. When she comes to your house and you've got a carpet on, she'll end up with swollen eyes and her skin would just go all funny. And she didn't like that at all because she liked to look after herself.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And she's a 2-year-old, she wants to run around and have a lovely time.
I'm telling you, but yeah.
So I'd imagine that once your 2-year-old has a list of allergies like that, you have to be incredibly diligent to make sure, because there's all sorts of things they're going to come into contact with. And when they're a toddler, they don't know.
Nope.
As a mum and everyone around them, the family have to be really, really diligent.
Everybody.
So you spent your life really making sure that anything she came in contact with was fine.
Everybody knows about allergy. When she goes to family, friend's house, EpiPen, Cetirizine, always follows her everywhere. So it was more of when you go to anywhere at all, everybody knows what she's not allowed to have. Even she would, at the age of 3.5 years old, she knew what she was not allowed to have.
So what happened on that day when you went to the dentist? You were going to a dentist appointment?
She had a dentist appointment to get her teeth taken out because she was having braces done, which she's always wanted to get. She said, I just want braces. I don't want to wear my mouth guard anymore because it was really annoying her. So we went to, and I said to her, do you fancy Costa? She said, oh, yes, please. It's something she gets excited about. Because she was still there like 2 weeks before she passed. She was still in the actual Costa coffee shop, ordering herself a drink by herself.
Right.
So it's a place that she'd been to before.
Several times.
The order that she would go for
is
would be
hot chocolate.
Soya hot chocolate. The soya being the absolutely key thing, because you all know, and she was very diligent, that she was allergic to dairy.
Even she used to ask me, why am I so fussy because the first time I took her there, I said to them, please clean the jug and the steamer, just open it up a little bit. So that was the main thing. She was like, why do you always do that? I said, because people play with people's lives. So I'm not about to let people play with your life. So on this particular day, we just went in there to order for 2 soya hot chocolate, 2 soya hot chocolate. And I think I said to the lady, just clean the jugs for me, open up the steamer up a little bit. And, you know, I think she was still giving me a funny look. I even had to apologize for even being so demanding.
Because you were making a fuss, but
I was
you felt
definitely
awkward,
making a
but you
fuss.
needed to make sure that...
Yes, I said, I'm so sorry for being a fussy because my child has got severe allergy to dairy milk.
Did you get the sense that the person you were talking to understood?
I can't even say whether she understood or she didn't understand me. I can't even say that at this point. At that point, I assume maybe if she repeat the order back to me, we wouldn't be in this situation today.
So you took the drinks and you actually left the Costa. You didn't drink them there, and you went to the dentist, didn't you? So then what happened?
That's when she had a sip of the drink, went to the toilet and called me from the toilet and said, that is not soya milk. Because she's got a quick reaction to everything. So that's when she called me and I was like, oh my God, I said, I can't believe this is happening. So I don't even know what to say because that's our major
fear.
Oh my goodness, yeah. And for her to react so quickly as well.
It was so quick. It was just a sip. It was so quick. So we ran out of the dentist. We ran out and we ran into the pharmacist.
So you went to your pharmacy, the pharmacy that usually provides you with the EpiPen.
And the Tritazine.
For your daughter, for Hannah.
Yeah.
And what happened there?
I think I rushed to the... Sorry, excuse me. Give me a minute. We rushed to the till and I said, I need a Tritazine right now because my daughter's having an allergy reaction. I think the lady was giving me, I said, I don't mind paying for it, but right now, I'll pay for it later. I just need to give it to her. So I opened up I think someone came behind me to give me an opened one and I gave her like 2 tops of that and she was still screaming in pain. I think at this point, someone said to me, should we call an ambulance? I said, just give her a minute. Because half of the time, that's what we've done at home. She said she's never had a severe one before, ever. So it's just, if she feels like she's having something in her that's not right with her body, she'll just take a Tritazine and she will calm down.
And that's the antihistamine, isn't it?
Yes, and she will just calm down. At this point, it was just, I'm like, what's going on here? I think that's when I screamed for EpiPen. And that was it. Before I know it was like a movie.
But they didn't have the correct amount to give her, did they?
No, they did not.
So they had 150 grams.
And she's supposed to be under 500.
And there was no other EpiPen there?
No.
And so then what happened next?
There was a stranger, I don't even know her from anywhere, God bless her, that literally called the ambulance and was giving her CPR until the ambulance came. I think as soon as they put the defibrillator on, I knew straight away because I've had training. I work in a care home, so I've had all this training. So when that did not work at that point, I said, this is not happening. I literally started screaming at that point. I just lost it. It's like your whole life came crashing down in 5 minutes. 5 minutes of a sip.
Fast.
It was very quick.
Gosh, Abby, it's so painful to hear you recount the story because there are so many moments along the way that I'm sure you have played over and over in your head.
Over and over and over and over again in my head till today. I go to bed at night time when I look at pictures, and I literally ask myself, maybe I could have done something.
So you've just told us now how quickly it happened. Shall we speak to Dr. Ngat and find out what we should be doing in this situation? We'll give you a minute.
Yeah, it's such a tragic story and Abby is so brave of highlighting this. And the thing with allergic reactions is that they can be mild all the way up to severe where you can get an anaphylactic shock. So it's really important, firstly, to recognise those signs early on. And you're not being a fussy parent. And unfortunately, with allergies, they can either sometimes be dismissed, they can be unrecognised, and then also they can be downplayed as well. Because the symptoms very early on don't present as severe. They can be just a rash, a few hives that can appear on the skin, itchy skin as well. You can get a bit of lip swelling, but that's about it. Then you can get worsening of your tongue or your airway closing off as well. You can also get running eyes or swollen eyes, and the symptoms of having an allergic reaction can be all over. With an anaphylactic shock, it's the severity of those symptoms where actually it infiltrates your lungs and your breathing airways as well. So the swelling means that you're not able to breathe appropriately, and that's where an EpiPen is so important. Now, what is EpiPen? It's a shot of adrenaline. What it does is it calms the immune system down and brings down the swelling instantly until you can get to an ambulance or a place of care where they can give you further treatments, because even having one shot of an EpiPen can mean that that's not enough and you need further treatment. That's why getting to a hospital is really important.
And I know that you've recorded, if you go to this Sorning app, you can see Dr. Ngat showing you how you can administer an EpiPen, because that's another really important part of this story. And I think, Abby, from your perspective, making sure, this is one of the things that you're really keen to do, is that people understand the importance of EpiPens, the delivery of EpiPens, and how that can change and save people's lives.
Yes.
This is what Costa have said: the loss of Hannah is a tragedy. Our heartfelt thoughts remain with her friends and family. We have strict allergy training and procedures in place to help minimise the risk to those customers who suffer from allergens. However, we agree with the coroner's conclusion that our allergen process was not followed that day at our franchise partner store. We continue to review what more we can do when training team members to help to minimise the risk to those customers who have allergies and provide clear communication. Costa Coffee has partnered with the Natasha Allergy Research Foundation since 2021. That's Natasha Adnan Laperouse, who also had an allergic reaction to a sandwich that she bought at a store. One of the ingredients wasn't listed, and is hugely supportive of the work of the foundation. Michelle, I wonder, one of the things that the two of you were talking about is a simple sticker identifying scheme that could make things simpler for the people working in some of these shops and for parents or for children or for anybody that has one of these allergies.
So Abby and her family are calling for robust training within food service industry. And the most important thing for her is that this issue is taken seriously. We can see that in the unfortunate death of Hannah, that when it's not taken seriously, it can be fatal. What we know and what we heard at the inquest is that the allergy training was like a tick box exercise. Google Translate was used to train this, to assistants to train their staff. We also know that one manager did the allergy test 20 times before she passed it. And it's really important that there's effective training that is properly understood by employees and that is properly policed by employers.
So when you hear that right of reply from Costa, do you feel like they are going to put into place those things that you're talking about, that you need, you feel that you need?
We very much welcome the steps that they've said that they're going to take. We do hope, in fact, that that actually happens in practice. What Abby is calling for is an additional safeguard that actually, when you place your order, that your order is stuck on the actual coffee cup itself. So what you can do is, as a final check, is that you can check that the drink that you've actually ordered, you've actually received. And had that happened in this instance, Hannah may well be here today.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show and for raising awareness. I think it's, you know, it's so important that people take this seriously and that we move forward from this too. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for coming on. And thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every day. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. And we'll see you in the morning.
Yeah, all right.
Good.
I was about to have a moment, but I'm all right.
You're amazing.
Thank you.
Well, Demi joins us now to talk more about her condition. She's also alongside gynaecologist Dr. Neetu. Good morning to you both. I mean, it's so brilliant that you were on the show and you were so vocal, so honest. Was that kind of your mission to begin with? Or was it a happy accident that happened along the way?
I think a bit of both. I feel like I went into the experiment to like give myself to someone, and in that moment it was like, I need to share this part of who I am, but it's something I'm very uncomfortable with. So obviously I knew I had to like disclose it, and it was a lot for me to do, but the relief was so liberating afterwards to kind of get out there, and I was received so beautifully, and it honestly has helped me massively, so I'm very happy about that.
It's really emotional watching you talk about it, because clearly it's not a subject that you have, until now, until you went on the show, felt comfortable talking about. You couldn't even say the word.
No, I couldn't. Like, honestly, to say the word endometriosis, which I can say now, I would just get really tearful and really upset about it, because it was something that really did take a hold of, you know, how I was in relationships, and it was something that I was worried about kind of disclosing. So
can you explain when it started and how it affected?
Oh yeah, so when I first had my periods, I didn't know what a normal period was, right? I was quite heavy and stuff, and I just thought that was kind of normal. And then as you get older, you start to get into relationships. I always played football, and I started to notice that it was a lot more painful than what my friends were saying. I used to get like really numb legs and really severe back pain. But obviously that was kind of associated with playing football. Like I was in injury. Yeah. So I was just going back and forth like, what is this? Until it started to actually affect my relationships.
But also, and it's going to be quite graphic, and one of the things that really struck me, Demi, you played in this football team and you had white kit.
Oh, yeah.
And you used to have to sort of take precautions in case the heavy period sort of came through.
I'm talking like 5 pairs of knickers just because I was just worried. Like, can you imagine being a 15-year-old and leaking in a white kit? Like,
terrifying, but also to think that was normal.
Yeah.
That was sort of, that's
what
the
you had to do.
frustration. You kind of go, and you hadn't been able to share what you were going through to understand that there was a condition that you were experiencing.
Yeah. And this is no fault of anyone around me because I just wasn't open about it. I wasn't telling my mum I was doing that. I wasn't opening up to people. I just thought that was kind of like the norm that you do. You kind of mask it.
And when did you first realise that it wasn't, and how did you go about getting help or advice?
To be honest with you, I think it was when I got into a more serious relationships and, you're more sexually active and so on. And the impact of that and how it made me feel afterwards and stuff, I was like, this can't be normal. So obviously I sought medical advice, a lot of back and forth, like misdiagnosis, like I got told I had IBS, which is a common thing, I believe. Very common, yeah. So I was put on laxatives and I was thinking like, why is it still so bad? Like, what is going on? To the point where I don't think I really got taken serious until I hit 25, because that's when you have your smear test and so on. So they detected it when I hit 26. That's when I had the keyhole surgery.
And the diagnosis then was quite severe endometriosis. Had it been found earlier when you first started asking, it would have been a very different thing.
Yeah, and that's what obviously I was a bit upset about because it's like I've been coming out for the last 7 years to try and figure out what's going on, to the point now I'm being told it's like moderate or like stage 3 and whatever.
Can I just...
yes, please.
Yeah.
So generally, in my 40 years of experience with endometriosis, women don't tend to have minimal or mild endometriosis, then progresses to moderate or severe. It tends to be 2 separate categories.
Right.
So what is painful to hear, and not just Demi's story, millions of women, is that they're actually having these symptoms that can be helped, not necessarily whether it's mild or minimal endometriosis, which can still cause a lot of painful periods, heavy periods, or moderate or severe, which can affect it's a whole body condition. So I wouldn't worry so much about it not having been diagnosed for the sake of preventing it from progressing.
Right.
What is more important is all those years of suffering.
Right.
Because I was
unnecessary.
For sure, because there's the physicality
and
of what is happening.
And the social aspects, all the aspects.
And mentally as well, to know that there's something wrong with you.
And you were told it's normal.
But you don't know what it is.
Yeah, and it's like, am I exaggerating? So I think the diagnosis for me helped validate my feelings and then made me feel like it was a relief, to be honest with you. Like, okay, I feel heard. There is something, what's the next steps kind of thing? And I went away and tried to like find what worked for me. I think in that moment it would have been better if, the options that were presented to me were presented with a little bit more information and a bit more direction. Because like, I've heard that if you go on contraception and stuff like that, it could have helped after your surgery, but I opted out of that. So I feel like it could continue to progress. And I know what works for me now. Like I know if I exercise and I cut out refined sugars, like these things do help, but I am just a human being who wants to live life. And sometimes I do want to go out and have a drink with my friends. Sometimes I do want to eat that red meat.
It's part of life.
It is. So I'm just trying to find the blend.
Do you feel like you're finding that balance with endometriosis now?
I think the biggest step for me was actually just taking ownership of it. So now I'm there, it's like, I feel a bit more confident in my decisions now and I'm being more intentional. Like you see me on the show talk about how I want a family. Like that is one of the main things that I want. And if I want that, then there's certain things that I know I have to go away and work on. So I think that now I'm being intentional with how I'm going to live my life, like my lifestyle.
Dr. Nisi, there are moments where obviously Demi wasn't diagnosed correctly, almost to the point of, as you just said, in your head you think you're making it up. You're going crazy. What do women need to do? Because there are going to be people who are watching right now at home that are going, oh, I've got something that's a bit like that, or I feel a bit like that. What do women need to do?
So it's not just women, it's also society, schools, public policy, health professionals. Everybody needs to take ownership. It's not just women. What's important for women who are listening and people who are close to women are listening is that periods should not be painful. Any periods that affects the quality of your life, whether it is going to school, whether it's going to work, whether you're ending up spending a day or days in bed. So painful periods, not to be put up with. That may be because of fibroids, adenomyosis, which is another close cousin of endometriosis, polycystic ovary syndrome, endometriosis. All these are conditions that affect women. So painful periods, heavy periods, any period that lasts for more than 7 days, any period that you end up having to use double protection, where you're passing clots larger than the size of your thumbnail. Those things are not normal. We should not normalize periods as in this. It's fine, my mother had it, my grandmother had it, so I have to suck it up. No. Painful periods, heavy periods, painful intercourse, not to be accepted. You know, body backache that she was mentioning, is often as doctors, we don't join the dots. And so we do have to realize that endometriosis is a whole body condition. It's a chronic condition that causes endometriosis belly, it causes bloating, it causes chronic fatigue, it causes bladder symptoms, bowel symptoms that people think is irritable bowel syndrome when actually it's not. So it's really important that not just women, but all of us raise awareness, because even as doctors, we don't always listen to our patients.
Well, as Dr. Sarah said, we only have 10 minutes. It's finding that balance.
And so we have to take ownership a little bit, but also the rest of the
We have got some questions we want to go through. I just want to, quickly, before we get to these, if you do get a diagnosis, are there things that can be done? What sort of treatments can you get which will alleviate the symptoms and help?
So it really depends, it's very individualized, and it depends upon your clinical symptoms, but it could be treatment for your periods, so it could be painful periods if you're having, so it may be certain medications that you take just during your periods, it might be certain forms of hormonal medication that you need to help you while, if you're not trying to get pregnant, so you would take that all through the month, pelvic floor physiotherapy, things like acupuncture, and then surgery by specialists. For example, I would operate on some people who need surgery, sadly, the way to diagnose endometriosis thus far has been only with a keyhole surgery. And so you should have it only with a specialist who knows how to manage endometriosis. And so that is somewhere we don't have enough of those doctors. And that's important.
But there are options.
But there's a blood test coming up, hopefully not too far off in the distance, where we can actually pick up endometriosis through a blood test. Still not there yet.
Okay, well, we've got lots of questions from our viewers, and I know wonderfully you've said you'll stay and
I will stay and answer.
She's going to go down to the office, and she's truly wonderful. So this one is from Emily. She says, I'm worried about my fertility. I was recently diagnosed with endometriosis at the age of 25. I'm awaiting a laparoscopy,
which is the keyhole procedure.
But I am concerned about potential implications it could have on fertility later down the line, as I really want children one day. What's your advice?
Yes. She has a very valid concern because women with endometriosis may find it slightly harder to conceive. But I also, in the same breath, want to say most women will go on to conceive either naturally or with some help of fertility treatment. So I don't want anybody listening to this thinking there's no hope at all. And that can come in many different forms. And that's a discussion to be had sooner rather than later for anybody who thinks, I want to have children. Maybe not this year, maybe not next year, maybe in 5 years. Whatever it is, there is hope. Yes, fertility can be affected, but there is plenty that we can do, you know, as soon as we find out.
And that's where you are, Demi, isn't it? You want to be able to have a family at some point as well, so you need to sort of navigate that.
Yeah, so that I honestly felt that question come through. I was like, that's the question I would answer. So,
okay, good. This is from Charlotte. What should I expect from a hysterectomy? I'm 28. I've struggled with endometriosis for years. I've exhausted all treatment options. I'm having my hysterectomy on Thursday. My specialist said that it's likely that my bowel and uterus are stuck together and they may be limited on what endometrious cells can be removed. I can't help pinning all my hopes on this operation. What should I expect from the surgery?
So anybody who's having those questions can go onto my website, which is easy to find. It's all free.
What's your website?
neetubajekal.com, just my name with a .com.
You'll get it through the app.
Yes. But what is important to understand, she is very young. It's not often at 28 that we do a hysterectomy. Removal of the uterus is not really the culprit of endometriosis. So I would have questions, and it's difficult to have this discussion here, but it could be adenomyosis, which affects the womb itself. Has she completed her family? Has she frozen her eggs? Has she frozen embryos? All these questions have to be asked and made sure that it's you know, because it is an irreversible procedure. So, and yes, most women will sail through it, but there can be complications, especially when you have a condition like endometriosis, if the bowel is stuck, if the bladder is stuck. So a whole team is needed to operate in this situation. It takes a good 2 months at least to recover. So work has to be very empathetic as well. It's important that we don't just rush back to work when our body is not ready.
Do your preparation.
I have all that information on my website.
Great.
Okay, good luck with that, Charlotte.
This one is from Kerry. She says, about 2 days before my period, I get really bad pain in my right shoulder. The pain stays during my period and then it stops hurting about a day after I finish my period. I've been to the doctors twice about it, but they just shrugged it off as a pulled muscle. However, this happens during every period, so I feel like they must be connected.
Yes.
Are they?
Yes. And so endometriosis, we haven't defined what endometriosis is. Endometriosis is where cells, abnormal cells that are very similar to the lining of the womb that we shed every month as a period, it decides to stick itself usually within the pelvis, on the lining of the pelvis, in your ovaries, at the back of the uterus, on the bladder, on the bowel. But sometimes, and that's why we don't know exactly what causes it, sometimes it can go in your nose, in your lungs, in your diaphragm, in your brain. And so distant endometriosis is a known factor that should be taken very seriously.
Wow, I didn't know that.
It's known as, yes, it's really important that that is paid attention to because, you know, somebody who's giving you a history like that should not be ignored at all. It may not turn out to be that, but it is
needs checking.
Absolutely.
Get that checked, Kerry. Then Penny, she's, are my spotting along periods down to endo or perimenopause? I've had problems with my periods since a very early age. Got diagnosed with endometriosis in the last couple of years. I'm 41 years old. My periods in the past 5 months have either been longer than usual or I've been spotting in between. I feel really confused because I want another baby, but I don't want sex. So I'm just wondering if this is down to endometriosis or something else, maybe perimenopause.
I would not immediately jump to perimenopause if I was a betting doctor, which I'm not. I would say I would be concerned that she may have adenomyosis, which is the cousin of endometriosis, pushing itself into the lining of the muscle wall. That can cause spotting. Is she up to date with her smear test? Because that's really important. Is there bleeding after intercourse? Is it endometriosis? Are there fibroids? There's so many things. She needs a good review by a specialist, ask her GP to refer to the NHS hospital, and from there onwards, maybe even to somebody who specializes in this thing. So not to be ignored. Any spotting, any bleeding, not to be ignored, whatever your age.
Okay.
Try and get that referral. So, Demi, just coming back to you, you didn't find love necessarily on Love is Blind. How is life anyway, though? Are you out there fishing again?
Trying. Just about to, I'm going to get myself back out there.
Good.
But yeah, it's been good.
Well, look, thank you for coming in and
thank you
sharing
very
your
much.
story.
Thank
As
you.
know, like you say, just taking ownership
Brilliant.
of it. You can see the change in
Thank
you already, you know, just sort of meeting you today. It's been brilliant to meet you.
Absolutely brilliant. Well done.
Thank you.
And Dr. Neetu, we didn't have enough time to get through everything
Not a
here,
problem.
but she's so wonderful. She's staying.
Amazing.
She's going to set up her office downstairs, give her a cup of coffee. She'll be here all afternoon.
No coffee, I'll be up all night.
Okay, fine. No coffee, no coffee.
Whatever you like. She's going to be answering some of your phone calls a little bit later on, and we'll get through all of those. So fingers crossed we can.
Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every day. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. And we'll see you in the morning.
Over the years, we've welcomed lots of incredible This Morning guests and lots of amazing stories have been told. But this summer, one moment in particular got everyone talking again.
Yeah, so cast your minds back to 2011. There was a guest on the show called Shani, and she appeared on the show to talk about a very unique phobia of fancy dress costumes. Now, this is the moment she came face to face with her demons. It's become viral, and it's the moment of the summer. Have a look at this.
We're going to hopefully sort this for you today. Okay, so let's pull back the curtain. Oh dear. Okay.
Okay.
Right,
so
so
we'll draw the curtains again
let's
there on
pull
that.
Oh, wow, that clip has literally been everywhere this summer. But what happened to Shani, and did she overcome her fear, you ask?
Well, it's been 13 years since she was last here. Sharni, you're back with us. Thank you so much for coming back.
No, you're more than welcome.
You know, we're just so interested to know what the reaction was like at the time, what it's like been since, and most importantly, how are you now with fancy dress costumes? So, shall we start at the very start? What made you come in the first place, and how bad was it?
So it was taking over everything.
that you wouldn't really imagine. So something as simple as walking down the high street, I would have that fear in me of, is there going to be someone in fancy dress around this corner? So it took everything in me when I was walking along, because you're on high alert, so you're never relaxed. So it took a lot of my energy.
And did this start when you were like very young? What sort of spooked you? What triggered it?
So it was a family holiday.
Yeah.
We went on a ghost train in a theme park, which I thought would be totally innocent. However, abroad, it was slightly different to what I was used to in the UK. So they actually had people in fancy dress who would touch you.
Yeah, so they had like actors placed, did they, popping out?
Which at about 9 years old, I wasn't expecting.
Oh, God.
So my hair clip was taken out of my hair, placed into my mum's hair, which just spooked me, ran out screaming. They did come out to apologise, took off the mask, but by that point, it was over.
You were sort of traumatised at this stage, yeah.
And it's really important you tell us this bit, because the clip, and a lot of people find it kind of amusing because the costumes, right?
Yes.
And your reaction. And it does evoke laughter from people, okay. But it was very real for you, wasn't it? I mean, it really was a real situation.
Yeah, for me, I look back on the clip and I think, oh, but I can still remember that fear. I can still remember how I felt. It's one of those, this happened to me, I want the ground to open up, I want to disappear, I don't want to be sat in this situation. So I can feel it still now. I can imagine exactly what I was feeling on that day.
Well, to you, this is as real as somebody might get the same feeling seeing a mask and a balaclava or a horror movie character. Yeah. It was that visceral at that point.
So it's the same with any fear, anybody's fear. Everybody's going to react in a way. And for me, that's how I react. I panicked, I cried, and I've been known to run across a road because I was that petrified and wanted to get away from someone in fancy dress.
Talk to us about your feelings now. They're the costumes. That was the moment.
Yeah.
You'd be glad to hear we don't have them here in person. How do you feel when you look at that image now?
So now, looking at the image, it takes me back to that day. I can remember how I feel when I went into the studio, how I felt. When I first saw them, I can still feel it. And I know how I felt, but I know that if you were to bring them out, I wouldn't react in the same way today.
So it's almost like it feels like a different version of you. It's like a memory, you know, but you don't get that feeling anymore.
Yes, so I can remember it, but that's not how I would react.
Let's get to present day.
Yeah.
It's been watched a lot over the course of the summer.
Yes.
What's the reaction been like now, and how do you feel about it now?
So,
6 years on?
I mean, I've been sent the clip many times.
You must have done.
Many
you must
times.
be sick of it. Absolutely sick of it.
And I every time someone sends it to me, I still watch it, and I think it just reminds me of what it was like. So I still watch it. I don't read anything. I just watch it, and I think, wow.
Do you feel upset when you watch it? Do you feel embarrassed? Seems unfair, but because people are kind of making fun when they watch it, right?
Yeah, I think embarrassed, but as you say, that's not quite the right word. I sort of look at it and I think, I'm not that person anymore. That's not me. I don't act like that. That's a long time ago. A lot has happened. So for me, I enjoy watching it to take me back, but I'm glad that I'm not there now.
Yeah, and remember, like for all the, I mean, you say you don't really look at comments, but for all those that won't understand it, there'll be others, you know, with weird phobias themselves. Cotton wool is a big one, isn't it, that people are scared of, that for most of us just seems absolutely almost ridiculous. But until you're in it, you don't know how it feels, do you?
Yeah, exactly that. So everybody's going to have a fear, most people do. It's how people react to it. Some people have a smaller reaction, some people have a bigger reaction. So I think people being able to see that, thinking, do you know what, something can be done. And that was, for me, I needed something done, which is why I came to you guys to have something done about it.
Yeah, well, fair play to you. That was very brave, I think.
How much work did it take to get over the fear?
So, working with Nick and Eva, amazing. They used what they used, and it didn't take long. And at first I was hesitant when I left. I thought, is this really going to be it for me? But from that moment on, no reaction whatsoever. So now I can come face to face with people in fancy dress. I don't have to worry if I want to go and see a show about whether there's going to be the costumes. I can take my children to see the characters that are dressed up so they don't miss out on seeing their favourite characters.
Yeah, didn't you manage to go somewhere recently?
Yes, so I took my children to see Hey Dougie.
Hey Dougie, that was it.
Yeah, he is a huge fan. And I wouldn't have been able to do that before. And my children would have missed out because of my fear, which is not something I want for them.
So not scared of pantomimes anymore?
Not anymore, so
Good on you.
roll on Christmas and I can go to the pantomime.
Oh, good on you.
Where's the fear? It's behind you. Well done.
I knew he couldn't resist. He's been waiting for that one.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks.
Because it took a lot of bravery to come back in as well this time, so we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every day, so go ahead, hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss out, and we'll see you in the morning.
Look carefully at any of the world's biggest stars or politicians or anything like that. Just a few steps behind them, around them, in front of them, just circling them carefully. You'll find a man or a woman tasked with keeping them safe.
Yes. Now, British-born Nina Hobson is one of the most respected close protection bodyguards in the world, with a CV that is incredible. It includes prime ministers, pop stars, you name it.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And Nina is here. You've taken a bit of time out to come and join us on the sofa. Good to see you. There's so much to talk about. I wonder how you got into it and who you've protected. But just one thing we were talking about this morning, the attempted assassination on Donald Trump. And in the front of shot, there was a female protection officer, and then the head of the CIA was a female as well. And the sexist abuse they got, and a lot of mid-America going, why are women in this role, this important role? And it was shocking to hear it, and that kind of prejudice exists out there. What was your view on all that?
Oh, I mean, anytime there's a woman in a man's world, that's the kind of grief that you get. You know, I'm sure it was the women's fault that he got shot. I'm sure it was the women's fault that he survived. So to me, I mean, I've grown up in a man's world. I've only ever worked with men, whether it's been in the police or in close protection or the security that I work in now. So I'm not surprised at all to hear those kind of things. But to me, those women were doing their job and they did it incredibly well. And it's about time that there were more women in security because we're really good at it.
Well, it's not just all about being some big burly beefcake, is it?
No.
It's strategy, it's everything, right?
Yeah, correct. And, you know, in America, it's very much, I call them the Hollywood bodyguards, and they have a purpose and a place, and, you know, they're 6'9" and that's fine most of the time. But sometimes if you are just that person and you are not really 100% sure what to do when it goes wrong, and it sometimes does, then that's when you've got a problem, and you need to have somebody who's trained and knows what they're doing. From getting a celebrity in and out of a car, you know, you go, how do you do that? You've got to get them out without paparazzi getting in the other side. You know, just the little things that as a trained person we understand, whereas a big guy doesn't necessarily.
Yeah, it's all right being muscle, but you also just need a bit of, you know, forward planning. I bet you're thinking 10 steps ahead all the time,
Always.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you need brains to get Bono out of a pub, right?
That I failed that one, obviously.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because you were his bodyguard, is that right?
I looked after him when he was on tour in Australia, yeah. So he has the same bodyguard he's had forever, and I was very privileged to get to look after him in Australia, and he was just wonderful. I think I drank my first bottle of Cristal champagne with him, to be honest.
What a claim to fame, eh?
Because Bono's, and that's the difficulty, he's such a man of the people, he likes to wander around, live as normal a life as he possibly can. Right. We see him in Dublin all the time, in Finnegan's Pub and Dalkey. You have to try and fit into that lifestyle when you're protecting Bono. Right?
Yeah, and the thing with Bono is he took on a security expert and he listened to what you told him, which is great. You know, that's what my job is, so please listen to me. That's not necessarily true with every person that we look after. And you say, don't do this because it's not safe. Oh, well, you'll fix it. So it's a really different dynamic, but Bono was great.
What's the key bit of advice you give them when you start working with them?
Start working with them. Going back to the female thing, as a female, you sometimes get, do you know what you're doing? So the key bit of advice is, I know what I'm doing, please listen to me. And if you think, even to the client, if you think there's a problem, tell me, because we can fix it rather than try and navigate it after the event. So we have a very, very tight relationship with who we look after.
Well, the thing is, you have years of experience, and this started, you know, on the British police force, right?
Right.
And then talk us through that journey then. So you started as just a beat cop, how they call it.
Yeah, beat Bobby. Back in the day when I had to have a handbag and heels.
Oh, there you are there, look.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
Look at
that. Please don't show any of my team that.
Too late.
And then I wanted to be working with dogs or horses, and that didn't happen. And as a female back then, you were put into the rape victim situation to look after rape victims or children. I didn't have kids, I didn't like kids, I didn't want kids, but as a female, that was my role. And then the story around me doing my first protection work was we had, back in the day, the booze cruise to France. And you had to pick your name out of a hat because obviously we couldn't all go. And I didn't get my name picked out, and I was a bit miserable about it and a bit of a tantrum. And so my boss said, well, how about you do this tomorrow? And didn't know what the job was or anything. You need to be at this place at 5 a.m. And this place just happened to be looking after Margaret Thatcher.
Wow.
And so that was fun. That was worth missing the booze cruise. Wow. And so that was kind of my first feeling of close protection work. On the outskirts, because she has a team, and she had a team that she went everywhere with, and if they didn't go with her, she wouldn't go. And that's how it works in the police with obviously politicians and royalty. A little bit different with celebrities, but yeah, that was my first taste, and then it went from there.
How do you even start with someone like Britney Spears, who's instantly recognisable?
Yeah.
And constantly, I guess, a threat because of that. How do you start those conversations? What do you do on a daily basis with her?
I can't obviously go into too much about what I do with her particularly, because obviously that's
still doing it.
Security. So, but yeah, let's put it this way: we have a lot of fun. A lot of fun and a lot of stress, and I have a lot of grey hairs.
Well, take it when she parties, you have to party, albeit on mineral water. You have to be alongside. You have to do everything.
Always mineral water. Yes. Yeah.
I thought it was interesting that now, so it's scaled up from you know, like you say, starting off with Margaret Thatcher, then you do Bono, and then you get into sort of the music industry. Now you have a team of 50, right?
15.
Oh, 15, sorry.
So
after this show, it'll be 15, Nina.
Right.
You got it.
So the company that I work for is a company called David Shield Security, and we're a global company, and we specialise in close protection and investigations. So I'm head of their investigations as well as head of the client that you've just mentioned. I'm head of her team.
Wow.
So I have 15 alpha males working for me.
And I bet you people go to them first thinking that they're in charge, right?
It's really interesting when you go somewhere and they don't recognise that, you know, and you say, oh, our head of security is here, that they will go naturally to the guy to shake the hand first. And I love that moment when I go, excuse me, it's me.
Oh, well done.
But yeah, that happens all the time. Just because being a female, and being a British female as well, I mean, who thought it?
Who'd have thought?
Yeah, right.
But, you know, you are so cool, if you don't mind me saying. I think you are wicked, and what you've done, and you know, you're sort of paving the way for future women to do it as well.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, that's my big thing, to leave a legacy, and we can do it. Just because we're not the Muslim men, we can do it, and we do it very well.
Good on you.
Absolutely.
Keep going, yeah, brilliant. And yeah, an inspiration to a lot of people out there. You may be creating new bodyguards just this morning by being on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. Now, we upload new content every day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. And we'll see you in the morning. Now, last year, our next guest was living out her dream as a professional dancer on Strictly. She'd married the love of her life and was hoping to start a family.
Yes, but then after discovering a lump in her breast, everything completely changed. And Amy Dowden's world was torn apart when Tess revealed that she had breast cancer at only 32 years old. I mean, it's just everyone's nightmare, isn't it?
Young as well. However, after enduring grueling treatment and rounds of chemotherapy, Amy was given the incredible news, and I'm delighted, we're talking about feel-goods on a bank holiday. This really is that she is now cancer-free.
Oh, congratulations. Look, today she's going to share her journey in her new memoir. It's called Dancing in the Rain. We are thrilled to have you on the sofa with us, Amy, and your story is just so inspirational. So thank you for sharing it as well at first.
Oh, no, thank you for having me. It's been quite a whirlwind of the last 18 months. And actually, yesterday, my family came and watched me dance for the first time since.
Oh.
So, and then tonight, the documentary coming out. It just feels like, it's a lot of emotions at the moment.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing really well, thank you. So I still have my monthly injection.
Yep.
And will do for the next 5 years. But at the moment, my tests are good, everything's positive. And yeah, I just feel like, especially in this last week, being back at Elstree at Strictly dancing again, I really feel like the old Amy is back.
Good. Because we talk about the physical aspects of cancer treatment, but the mental aspects, I mean, it's hard work, isn't it?
It really is. And I talk quite a bit about it in my book and the tools I've used throughout my life through growing up with Crohn's disease, the dancing journey. It is tough. And sometimes I think it's harder than the physical side of things. And what was really tough last year was watching my best friends dancing on Strictly, and I just wanted to be there with them. I knew when, the warm-up songs are going on, what it's like walking down the stairs. And so it was really, really tough. And also you forget the impact it has on your loved ones as well during a cancer diagnosis. It's really tough.
I feel like you've had such a long journey and a hard journey, and I do appreciate that you've shared a lot of this on social and on telly as well. But for those who don't know the story, just tell us, how did you find out you had breast cancer to start?
Yeah, so I was paired with Tom Fletcher on Strictly Come Dancing, and the Fletchers welcomed me into their family home, and I become really close to Joanna Fletcher, and she got me on the Copperfield trek. And whilst I was there, I was like, hang on, I'm a bit of a hypocrite. I'm here getting everybody to Copperfield to check their chests, and I don't check myself.
No.
And then a few months later, unfortunately, I found a lump. So really, Strictly kind of saved my life by pairing me with Tom Fletcher, because had I not been checking, I wouldn't be sat here right now. But it was the day before I went on my honeymoon, I found it.
Oh,
and I still went on my honeymoon. And then I went to the GP straight afterwards. And
did you tell your other half?
No, there's no way he would have been on that honeymoon. He would have just been in panic. And I knew in my head, I just had this gut feeling.
People often say that. How quickly does everything happen once you've been diagnosed?
So once you've been diagnosed, then there's more tests, and it's when you're in limbo, to be honest with you. And I talk about it in the book about, you just feel lost, you're unsure. And I was waking up every night thinking, I've got cancer inside of me. I just want it out.
Yeah. And nothing could be quick enough almost.
No.
Nothing can happen soon enough.
And until all the doctors, they know you've got cancer, but there's different types of cancer. They've got to, check it's not spread and everything like that. So you don't even know the plan to begin with. And then I had surgery. And then after that, when they found out I had more than they realised, and I had ductal and lobular, they didn't know about the lobular cancer, that I was then going to start chemotherapy. So as well with a cancer diagnosis, you get given a plan, but it can quickly change. At first, I was having a lumpectomy, radiotherapy, and 5 years of treatment to keep me in the menopause because I've got a hormone-fed cancer. But then all of a sudden, I'm getting a mastectomy. Then I'm having chemotherapy. Because at first, I thought I was going to be able to do Strictly when I was diagnosed, because I thought the timescale worked quite well. So, you also need to be prepared for a lot of change in the plan along. And I always say every cancer diagnosis is different to each individual, and to bear that in mind for everybody. And the doctors who saved my life, the incredible nurses on the Sheldon unit, they go above and beyond, and I'm forever grateful for giving me another shot at life.
Because you were quite nervous, weren't you, about the chemo?
Yeah.
And you were thinking, no, I'm not doing it because that will ruin other things in my life.
Yeah.
And was it a family member that sort of persuaded you?
So it was my friend, one of my best friends, Jenny, who'd just been through breast cancer herself and had chemotherapy, and she kind of pushed me through the doors on that first day, and she kept saying, look at me now, 2 years later, look at my hair, you've seen it. But also I saw what she had to go through, which was so tough.
Yeah.
She was a rock. And Ben, my husband, and I are so lucky for all the love and support we received from our loved ones. I don't think either of us would have got through the last year without them.
It really takes a village.
It really
to get through this
does.
stuff, doesn't it?
We're super lucky and grateful. And watching the documentary and doing the book was like therapy, actually, for me. You forget actually how much you've actually been through, because at the time you're on survival mode, just getting from one appointment to the next, one chemo to the next. And watching it back and doing the book, you're like, did I really go through all that? It's kind of surreal.
Well, I bet it is, because it will all just be a blur. It's all just happened, hasn't it? And you just had to take in all this new information. So the documentary is tonight, 8 o'clock on BBC One.
Yes.
Let's have a little look at this, because it's honestly such an emotional journey.
Yeah, it's fine.
Mum, I can do this today.
Honestly, the first one's the worst, and then you know what to expect, and it's fine.
I really don't want to do this. Nobody ever does.
But you can do it, because you're strong.
Okay. And you can do this.
You can.
You feel like you have no control over anything. But the one thing I could fight for was my hair.
Yeah, and that side. Yeah. Okay, so scalp cooler on. You feel it, how cold it is.
You're putting on, that's to cool the scalp in the hope of keeping your hair? Is that what's happening?
Yes.
Okay.
But unfortunately, about chemo 4, I'd already lost a lot of hair. I had quite a big bald patch on the top of my head. And when you have the cold cap, you wear it for 30 minutes before, the whole of the treatment, and an hour and a half afterwards. And your hair's like ice taking it off. And my body had already been through so much. I had sepsis. And when I went into septic shock and I needed care of intensive care to get involved, I had blood clots. My body had been through so much, and on my 4th chemo I'd gone in, I'd started being sick, and my body couldn't take it anymore. And my friend Carla was with me, who's also my hairdresser, and you see in the film, and I talk about my hair journey a lot in the book. We had to make the ultimate decision to take a cold cap off, and that decision, because I knew going home that night, I cried so much knowing that that's it now. I've got a couple of days until I'm completely bald. And I guess I was just trying to hang on to a little bit of me. So much is taken away. I'd already lost my boob. I'd lost my dancing, and I didn't know, was I ever going to get back to it? Yeah, I was just trying to hang on to that little bit of me, and I did. I found it really hard. So I was doing a cold cap to try and keep my hair,
I think anyone would, and coming from a girl's point of view, you know, your hair is part of who you are, and it can sound so insignificant when you're thinking about all this other stuff to do with cancer, but that is a bit of you. It's like, and this as well. It's almost that feeling, isn't it? What more can you take from me? However, I would say, I mean, I saw the clip of you shaving your head, and it was inspirational. And I feel like it connected a lot of people, didn't it? And people came sort of coming to you with support and saying, thank you for sharing this.
Yeah, and actually I'd seen other young ladies, one of which I ended up, Tabby, doing the Copperfield trek with later in the year. She was so brave and shared her experience of shaving her hair. She gave me, to a similar age, the confidence to shave mine. And yeah, online I built up such a lovely community of fellow breasty friends, Pink Sisters. Yeah, which really helped. And I just really hope through the book, through the documentary, that, you know, it raises awareness to get people checking themselves. Because if you're not checking, who is? Both male and females. And if 10 people start checking themselves from the book or documentary, I might be able to help save one life.
When you describe this process and everything you've been through, it's kind of amazing that we're going to see you in the new series of Strictly. I mean, fair play to you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you're inspiring people out there by doing that as well. You must be so grateful and excited.
Yeah, and the Strictly family, they were there for me every step of the way. And yesterday, I can't say too much, but dancing again, a very special number. And the boys, the team, all picked me up at the end and you know, running me off the floor. It was so emotional. It was so lovely. And yeah, it's so surreal. And I just can't stop smiling. Yeah.
You deserve this. It's honestly, it's so nice to have a happy end to this story and see you back on the screens. Do you know who you're partnered with yet?
So you'll all have to wait. The launch show is the 14th of September. We've been working so hard, the 20th year anniversary, which feels crazy as a little girl watching it on the screen, and here I am, part of it. But yeah, we've been working super hard, and yeah, just can't wait to be dancing and entertaining. And also last year, being on the oncology unit, I saw what Strictly did for everybody, and I was so proud to be part of the show that I could see lifted people through what was such a tough time. So I'll have all those in my mind as well.
Great to have you back on it.
So nice.
Thank you.
Just enjoy every bit of it. Fair play to you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming in. Thank you. So good luck with the book.
Yes, good luck with
Buy the book, everybody.
Yes,
Buy this.
you really
Buy the book.
should. I feel like it's going to be such a lovely read. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're to buy one as well. You're not getting that one.
Yes, I will. I will buy one.
Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every day. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss out, and we'll see you in the morning.
Now, this story is honestly so shocking. Let's go back to 2016 when Marisha Wallace burst onto the West End stage as Effie in Dreamgirls. Now, having had a hugely successful career in Broadway, this was the beginning of her big move to the UK as a West End star. It was all going so well.
Going very, very well. She found a love match on a dating app, but who she thought was the man of her dreams turned out to be an absolute nightmare. She was scammed out of £60,000, a huge amount of money, it really was.
Yeah. I mean, it's just disgusting. And I have to say, I'm just so pleased that you're here and you're ready to talk about this because it will have been a big trauma in your life. So thank you so much for that.
Good morning to you both,
morning.
And I know your train was delayed, so you're a bit panicked. So thank you for making it to the sofa today.
Good morning.
Lisa is victim supports fraud expert, and she's going to here to give us advice as well off the back of this story. Unbelievable story because everything seemed to be going so well in life.
Well, I had just moved from the States, from New York to London. I was here alone. It was 2018. I had just taken over the role of Effie White, which is a huge role to play, very emotional role anyway. And simultaneously, I was going through a divorce. So I was vulnerable, I was alone. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to try to put myself out there. Yeah. I'm going to go on Bumble, on this dating app. And I meet this guy. And we go on a date and everything is great and we're just being friends. He was very supportive of me during this like really hard time and he was like a friend and someone to listen to. And he told me he was into finance. Mm-hmm. And I, at the time, had been saving money for a really, really long time because I wanted to buy my mom a house. Oh. And so I was like, instead of leaving that money just sitting in my account, I wanted to invest it in some kind of high yield interest or some kind of way to make money off the money that I had saved. And he was like, well, I'm an investment, so I'll help you. And I was like, great. And then, you know, you're building this trust. And he says, I'll send you to an account manager that I know. I got on the phone with the account manager, had many calls with him, did my due diligence of like checking it out. He worked for a reputable firm, which I thought. Yeah. And so I put the first amount in, which was about $24,000, because that was like my savings. Yep. And I got a return, like after a couple of...
So this is the interesting part for me. Yeah. So you put this money in, and at this point everything seems legit because nothing was forced on you. It was all very casual, right?
No, it was all very casual. It was all very professional as well because I had like a website, like where you put your password in. I could see the money that was there. I could see the money, the interest that it was supposedly accruing.
Yeah, and so suddenly you start making money off this investment
I get money
and it
back.
feels legit.
Yeah, I get cash back, like, and it was like a good amount. Yep. So I was like, oh, this is really great. And then they were like, well, there's an event coming up in a couple of weeks. And also, this guy who's supposed to be my friend is pressuring me, but not real pressure. It's like you don't feel like it's pressure because he's like, well, I just put in more money this week and then I got more money out. And they were like, well, there's an event coming up. If you put money in the next 2 weeks, more money into the account, you'll get a higher return because the interest rates are going to go up.
So you were sort of given this urgency of, you know, stock market's looking good or whatever they were sort of saying to you. Yeah. Probably best to invest now. It felt like they were, you know, supporting you in a good decision.
Yeah, and I thought, oh, this, because I'm a very trusting person. If someone says they're going to help me, I just am like, okay, great. I did my research online. I thought, and the person is sitting in front of you. It's not like it is today where everything is online. Yeah. This man is sitting in my home. Yeah. He's talking to me like...
You've had dinner with him?
I've had dinner with him. Like, we've had conversations. I'm thinking, it's fine. Then I invest more money, and we get it up to, like, 60 grand is what it was the final amount. And then a couple of days later, because up to this point, anytime I called the account manager, he was right on it. Yep. Like, I'll respond. And then I was on the set of Aladdin. This is crazy. My first film I've ever done. Aww. I was so excited. I was working with Guy Ritchie, and I was in the trailer getting ready, and I texted him on a whim, because I just had this, like, whim. I was like, I had a bad feeling. I texted, and no one responded. Oh. And I called, and no one responded. And I kept calling, and no one responded. And then the runner came to get me out of my trailer. And I was literally like, I was crying. I was like, it's a scam. Like, I knew in that moment.
You knew there and then?
I knew instantly that it was wrong.
It's a feeling.
It was a feeling. Yeah. So I did the shoot the whole day. I did a show that night. And then I finally I don't know how, it was the grace of God. I don't even know how I survived any of it. Because I just had to keep performing. I just had to keep going. You can't tell anyone. No. You can't, you have so much shame and so much guilt, and you don't think it's real. Like, you don't think that you've actually been scammed. It's like, how is this person that I think I know has scammed me? So then I finally do get back in contact with the guy who's supposedly my friend. And he is like, oh, no, it's fine. He just, missed your call, da-da-da-da. And then I say, I want my money out now. Yep. I was like, I want it out now. And he's like, well, okay, let me get you back in contact with this guy. And then I just had to play it cool for like a couple of days so I could cipher him for more information. Because I knew it was gone, but I had to pretend like it was okay. So then I went complete detective. And I was online all night long going through like, who is this company? So then I finally called the company that he was with, and then they told me
the whole thing's
he wasn't
bogus.
real.
Yeah.
He had a different name. The account manager was actually his brother.
And you contacted the police, but then
nothing. The police. I had recorded conversations. I had texts. I had phone calls. I had all of the information and nothing. They said there's nothing we can do.
The difficulty here, and Lisa and Marisha talks about, being embarrassed by it. But the fact is, these scamsters are really, really good at scamming people. She shouldn't be. And I saw you kind of shaking your head there. You've heard these stories before.
Well,
it's all too
unfortunately.
common.
Yeah, I mean, the figures are that fraud is 40% of, crime in this country now, and Marisha's experience, sadly, is not an isolated one. So she's taken a great deal of courage and resilience to come here today to speak about it. And we do want to reassure people that it's never your fault. You have been manipulated, so fraudsters have massive resources. They are working sometimes on their own or in organised criminal gangs, but they will be trying to harvest information from you, trying to mould themselves into your perfect partner.
Yeah.
So this is happening today, and you bravely came on today, and thank you so much, because you are going to help people.
Yeah.
As you speak, you're helping people.
I wanted to do it because I know someone is being scammed right now.
So let's put an end to that right now, Lisa. Tell us what people have to do. What should they look out for? What are the red flags?
OK, so red flags are things like excessive flattery, early declarations of love, so something that we call love bombing. So they will really hone in on you and try to establish that bond of trust quite early. They will also try to isolate you from others because they want no one else to break the spell that they are trying to put you under. Obviously, never give money to anybody, never accept money into your account, because unwittingly you could become a money mule. There's so many implications that unwittingly, you could be coerced by that fraudster into doing something criminal yourself. And if you're meeting through a dating app, stay on that secure messaging service for as long as possible, because they will try to take you off that platform. And I would say, speak to friends and family. Say that you've met somebody new. It's that other person looking in that might say, hang on a minute, Lisa, that doesn't feel quite right. Yeah. Shall we check that person out?
Yeah. Any doubts, do something about it.
Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming in and telling your story. Honestly, it's really important. I know it took a lot of courage.
It's taken a long time to get here, but I just want people to know there's hope. Yeah. That you don't have to suffer alone, that now I'm in a really amazing relationship. I just bought my mom the house.
Yes.
Come on. That I wanted to buy her, and if you had told me that during that time, I would have never believed you that I could do it.
You are an inspiration.
And I did it. There is hope, and I hope people can see that.
For Marisha, she shouldn't have had to cope alone. So victim support, if you search for our services, we will be there to help you.
Yes.
Come to us.
So victim support, any red flags, get in touch. Thank you both so much. You've helped a lot of people. It's an incredible story, isn't it?
Yes.
Do get in touch with the right people if you're affected.
Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every day. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss out, and we'll see you in the morning.
Sorry, we've gone a little bit.
Look, there's dogs in the studio. We've got very excited.
Very excited.
Very excited. Now, having been diagnosed with autism at the age of 5, the years that followed for Peter Wilson and his family have been challenging both mentally and physically.
Yes, but all that changed when Peter was matched with Coco the Cavapoo, a puppy in training at Dogs for Autism.
Well, fast forward a few months, and Peter is not only thriving at school, it also meant the family can finally spend time out and about together.
Well, we're delighted to say that Peter, his assistant's dog Coco, and his mum Angela join us now alongside Hilary from Dogs for Autism and our very own this morning puppy Buddy.
Buddy's
oh
here.
Oh my goodness me! It's so good to see you all, and this is, I mean, what has turned out to be such a brilliant story, right? Angela, we'll start with you. Peter was diagnosed with autism when he was 5, but like we hear this a lot, don't we, that it took quite a long time for you to get that diagnosis, didn't it?
It did, yeah. It was really quite challenging. So from the age of 2, we'd kind of realised Peter wasn't sitting up on his own, he wasn't walking, wasn't talking, and we're kind of told it's developmental, he'll catch up. But it was quite clear over the years that it wasn't developmental. And we had a really good speech therapist that in the end sort of pointed out that actually there was something more to it. She referred us to a really nice paediatric. At first, they kind of went down along the lines of cerebral palsy and thought it was that, but that was then quickly ruled out. And at the age of 5, finally a diagnosis of autism for him.
It's a long time, isn't
It's a really long time, and that makes it so difficult for you. Eventually, Peter was diagnosed with auditory processing disorder.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So that came a few years ago. It was apparent that in the classroom he was really struggling with his learning. He wasn't able to focus on what the teachers were saying. And we ended up having to pay privately for that because that wasn't available in our area on the NHS. So that cost us £2,000 for that diagnosis. But since that, he's had hearing aids, microphones that aid him in school, and he's able to focus now, and his learning's coming on immensely. He's doing so well.
Oh, that's
We're so proud of how far he's come.
So brilliant to hear. So brilliant to hear. When Peter was a lot younger, what was, day-to-day life like? What was it like going out in public and doing sort of, I suppose, quite mundane, normal activities?
It wasn't very nice at all. I mean, one experience will come to mind when we took him into the city centre one day, and it was too much. The noise, the smells, the lights, it was really crowded, and he did have a bit of a tantrum on the floor and just decided he wasn't going to move. And I had an elderly couple stand there and just say, why would you bring your child to town if he's so naughty?
And that kind of faith in people, don't you?
It kind of just took me back a little bit, that people saw him as a naughty child and not as a child that just couldn't cope in that situation. So it was a challenge early life. We tended not to go into busy public places
because of other people, which is horrible. Completely.
Absolutely. And you saw the charity Dogs for Autism. You saw it originally, was it on Facebook?
It was, through a group that I'm part of, a support group. A parent had posted that their child had got a Dogs for Autism dog. And I hunted them down on Facebook and through websites, and we applied to have a dog for Peter.
And that's where lovely Coco comes in.
Look at Coco.
Peter, Coco has changed your life.
Yes.
Completely changed your life.
Yeah.
And I suppose, Peter, for you, but also for the family too, right, Angela?
Yeah, absolutely.
What does it mean to you to have that support?
It means that we can go out as a family, we can go and have long social events, we can go on holiday, we're not worried about Peter's reactions, because as long as he's got her, he's so grounded. I mean, you can see just sat here now, a couple of years ago, this wouldn't have been possible at all. She just grounds him, absolutely.
You can feel that, can't you? You really, really can.
Peter, how does Coco help you?
So Coco helps me to calm down. If I'm a bit upset, I could just have her on my lap. And so I could cuddle with her or something.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And he comes with you to school 3 days a week?
Yes, few days.
Great. That's great that you can find that sort of, that calm.
Comfort. Yeah, absolutely that.
That's really great.
And you recently gave a talk at your school?
Yes, it was September last year. It was in my English class. And it was so I was supposed to do a type of talk to do with something, any subject. And I decided to do a PowerPoint about where Coco was pretty much from, from Dogs for Autism charity.
So brilliant.
Would you say it's safe to say that Coco being in your life has completely changed your life?
Yeah, it has. Because before, I barely spoke in class. I barely answered any questions.
Wow.
Then when Coco was with me at that point, I changed.
Changed everything. Well, to the point that you're sat here
on live
national
television.
Yes. Live, this is, I mean, for you, this just is...
We couldn't be prouder as a family.
I bet.
Honestly, he's just beaming, and it's changed us immensely.
Hilary, this is, you're kind of no stranger to seeing the effects of support dogs and how brilliantly they work. Tell us a little bit about what you do and what this really means.
Well, we train assistance dogs for people with autism where we feel it can make a big difference in their lives. The training and the maintenance of every dog costs around £25,000 and we don't charge for our dogs. So, it's a really big commitment in many, many ways. So we can't train many dogs, because obviously we have to raise those funds. So the dogs that we do train, we try and identify families and partners where we can make that real difference. Now, I remember with my colleague Jan, who's here with us today, meeting Peter and his family a number of years ago now. Peter wasn't able to speak to us. He wasn't able to make eye contact. He found it difficult to engage with what was going on. However, we saw these little glimmers when he was with the dog that we took. Very quietly, we just saw we really could make a difference here. But having said that, I had no idea that Peter would have the grit and the determination to get to a point where he's taking Coco into a mainstream secondary school. I mean, the hours of training work that he's done with his dog and with his professional trainer to get to that point is immense. And they're really sort of flying the flag for other young people to show what's possible. It's not easy, but it's complete. We're so proud of him.
Well, it's such a lovely story to
really
hear.
Is.
Credit to you and the work that you and your team do. Brilliant stuff. And of course, to Coco. I mean, it's just incredible and so lovely to hear how much, your life has improved. What will happen to our Buddy? Will Buddy go to someone like Peter?
Well, Buddy will go to someone who has autism. And when he gets to the point, maybe in another 12 months, where we can really start to see what his particular qualities are, and we look at the people who are waiting for dogs, we'll be able to match him with the appropriate person. And then all the work that Peter's done with his trainers, who really deserve a mention, Philippa Joberg and Carrie Struthers, who've done an incredible job with this little dog. A trainer will work with Buddy and the partner, and off they will go.
It's so incredible.
And find their independence. That's what it's all about.
It really is.
It's the bridge to independence.
How well that works.
We're
so thank you.
I love it. I just love having dogs at the studio. It's so fantastic.
Thank you. Well done.
It's so good. We all want to lie on the floor every now and again. Just going to lie down with Buddy and do this thing.
Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. Now, we upload new content every day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. And we'll see you in the morning.
Would you be able to tell if you were living with a narcissist?
Author and therapist Caroline Strawson says the reality of living with a narcissist can leave you feeling trapped by their behaviour and, worse, falling in love with them.
And Caroline should know, she says breaking free from her own toxic marriage to a narcissist took years.
And now she's written a book to help other women spot the signs and is here to share her story with us now. This is your book, How to Heal After Narcissistic Abuse. Hello, Caroline, how are you?
Good morning.
I'm really good. I'm really glad we are actually talking about narcissistic abuse in mainstream TV because we don't talk about it enough.
Well, what's interesting, and I just said this to you in the break, is actually we are hearing more and more this word being used, and I'm seeing it a lot on social media, and it's almost sort of to the point where it's coming a little bit overused, as it were. Someone might have an argument with someone and say, oh, they're such a narcissist, and it's kind of being used very freely. The same way, I suppose, a period of time we were quite overusing the word anxiety, and then it means when there's a serious problem, it's not taken as serious as it should be, perhaps. Should we go back to basics and break it down?
Yes.
What actually is a narcissist?
Yeah, I think the first thing to say is narcissistic abuse is a form of domestic abuse. It's just the word that we use, narcissist, like you say, it's overused. And actually, when we overuse the word, it diminishes the experiences of those who are at the hands of a narcissist because it is abuse. So when we talk about the word narcissist, we've actually medicalised the word narcissist because we have something called narcissistic personality disorder.
Right.
And because we've medicalised it, for someone to get an actual diagnosis, there's this book where there are 9 traits of a narcissist, and to exhibit 5 or more means you would get a diagnosis of narcissistic personality disorder. Now, I am sure anyone watching who has had experience of a narcissist will know, firstly, there are way more than 5 traits or 9 traits, and no narcissist is ever going to go, I think I'm a narcissist. I think I need to go and see somebody and get a diagnosis.
Yeah.
Because the problem with a narcissist is they think it's everybody else's fault.
Yeah.
They think it's not them.
Yeah, exactly that.
Let's talk us through your relationship with your ex-husband now.
Yeah.
So when you first met him, he completely swept you off your feet. And then what sort of happened after that?
Yeah, I mean, he got a tattoo with my name on
within
months of our relationship. Now, I look back and think, Caroline, big red flag.
Yeah.
But at the time, because I had those feelings of not feeling good enough, and someone doing that for me, I thought, wow, he must really, really like me. And this is actually what we call love bombing. So they're doing and saying and gift giving and saying all the things that you've been desperately waiting for someone to say. And that's what makes it so difficult, because at the start, there aren't necessarily any signs if you don't know what you're looking for.
Yes. Yeah. So at what point, like you say, and at the time, I suppose, if you're enjoying it and you actually really are enjoying spending time with someone and, craving that love, I suppose at the time it's only nice. It's like he's really into me, I'm really into him, and it, I suppose, moves quite quickly.
Big dopamine rush.
Yes, yeah. And at what point did you kind of actually see the red flags? Because obviously, I suppose you got married, right? So you had to have got engaged. At what point do you start thinking, OK, I'm not feeling as great as I was at the start?
There was, even on our wedding day, I remember we got married in a big old manor house, and I remember looking down, and he was actually in the garden. And I remember looking down and thinking, this doesn't feel right.
Wow.
But most people who end up in relationships with narcissists are perpetual people pleasers. So, of course, everybody was there. They'd paid to come, they were staying overnight. So I went through with it in the hope that it would get better. There was always this disconnect. And when you ask, when did you actually know that it was an abusive, narcissistic relationship? I didn't know till I was out of it. Now, I'm an intelligent woman, and I didn't even realise, because narcissistic abuse is not like a light switch. It's insidious over a period of time, and it chips away at your self-confidence.
So when did it become sort of abusive? Is it like, you're saying he's doing all of these, like, sort of what you would classically say is positive things, getting tattoo of your name, getting all these things, giving you attention, doing lovely stuff. That's all good stuff if it's in a good relationship. Correct. But where was the negative, when did the negative stuff sort of start to seep in?
This is a really important part of narcissistic abuse, because it's psychological and emotional abuse. I thought I was in a marriage with a cheat, because he'd had multiple affairs. What I didn't realise up until I came out of that relationship, there was a huge amount of gaslighting. So I'd hear these stories, and he was my husband, looking at me in the eye and telling me these and sharing these stories. And in my gut, I'm thinking, that's not true. So I would question that.
What sort of stories? Like, as in, like, from, you say he was cheating. Was that in your relationship or in a previous relationship?
He had in a previous relationship, because he'd been married before. But also in our relationship. But there would be these elaborate stories. And there was one particular occasion, and he worked for an airline, and he was 8 hours late coming back from a flight. So, of course, I was really worried, where is he? Trying to call the airline saying, has the flight come in on time? Yes, the flight has come in on time. Eventually, when he called me, and I was even calling the police and paramedics saying, is he okay?
Something's happened, yeah.
And eventually, when he called me, he said, oh, I think I've killed someone. Now, I was like, what? And he said, I don't want to talk about it, I just want to get home. And at the time, I'm thinking, well, what's happening? He said, when he got home, there was a woman got off the aeroplane, tripped over, and he had to give CPR. And he did it incorrectly, so she died. Now, I have a medical background. I also, many years ago, worked for the airline, because that's where I met him. So I was questioning, well, hold on, where were the crew? Where were the paramedics? Thinking it through logically. And he got really angry at me. So this is gaslighting. What they do is they make you doubt your sense of reality. So whilst in my gut I'm thinking, well, hold on a second, But if your husband is looking you in the eye and saying to you, no, that did happen, and very often what they'll focus on is how you are saying it. Oh, you're so sensitive, you're a drama queen, as opposed to the content of the questions that you are asking.
And when did the light bulb go? When will you be able to see all of these traits, notice the behaviour and run for the hills, as it were?
Not until I came out of my relationship and someone said, go and Google narcissist. And I went and Googled it and I was like, whoa. And particularly covert narcissists. We all know the typical overt narcissist walks into a room, we can think of probably many that we know like that. The covert is much more stealthy. They act like the victim. So it almost looks like then, if I say this about them, no one's going to believe me.
Right.
So you feel like you are the crazy one.
You're almost backed into a corner.
Yes, yeah. So and you're made the villain. So as the victim, you're made the villain because they create a smear campaign about you.
Right.
And I actually read something that said, and like one trait would be that they would their actions, so you would respond to their actions, but what they would do was be cross with you about your response rather than actually the actions that have led to that point.
Because in a healthy relationship, if you quiz or question someone about something, they would normally listen. They would respond. And if they've hurt you or upset you, they would apologise, take ownership. It doesn't mean even that they think you're right, but they would be more understanding.
Acknowledge it.
Narcissists don't do that. Everything is your fault and they twist and manipulate you until you feel totally lost and a shell of yourself. And by nature of that it's behind closed doors, you feel like no one's going to believe you and you feel like you're crazy and you isolate yourself, which is why when people overuse the word narcissist, it isolates, let's be honest, victims of domestic abuse from speaking up.
Absolutely.
It's really interesting.
It is interesting.
It's really fascinating to sort of delve into sort of those sort of character traits of people and why a relationship might be breaking down and for what reasons. We should say that we reached out to your ex-husband, who has sent us the following message, said, I hope Caroline can finally find some peace and happiness in her life. And now your book, How to Heal After Narcissistic Abuse, is out now. And thank you so much for coming in.
And also, we should say helplines on screen. Head to our website, and if you are suffering or, anything resonates a little bit too much that we've just spoken about, there'll be help on our website for you. Thank you, and well done. Well done.
It needs to be talked about
really
more.
appreciate
Absolutely that.
Thank you so much for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every single day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you in the morning.